NOC sells cooking gas cylinders from 5 locations in Kathmandu. Move aimed at easing acute shortage. Finance Minister urges overseas to invest confidently in Nepal, adds conducive environment created by introducing new laws. Frequent leadership changes in Nepal's provincial governments raise questions over stability. At least 38 killed after 7.7 magnitude earthquake rattles Indonesia. Search and rescue underway. South Korea proposes talks to officially end war with the North. President Lee offers solution to avoid border flare-ups. And Nepal steps up preparations for upcoming 20th Asian Games. 136 athletes undergoing intensive close training. Good evening, I am April Singh Lama and this is NTV World Primetime News. We're coming to you live from Kathmandu at 1900 hours Nepal time. Elsewhere it's 13:15 in London, 22:15 in Tokyo and just after midnight in Sydney. Now the news in detail. Nepal Oil Corporation, NOC, is selling liquefied petroleum gas, LPG, cylinders at 5 locations across Kathmandu Valley today as consumers face acute shortages of cooking gas. The emergency sales are being organized in coordination with the Kathmandu District Administration Office and LPG gas companies, according to the state-owned oil corporation. The move is intended to provide immediate relief to households struggling to obtain cooking gas through regular distribution channels. Consumers seeking to buy a cylinder must carry either their citizenship certificate or national identity card. Different LPG brands will be available at designated distribution points. Sales are being conducted at the NOC premises in Teku, in the Transport Management Office premises in Chabahil, the Radhaswamy premises in Kirtipur, and the former Kathmandu District Administration Office premises in Babar Mahal, among the 5 designated locations. NOC has urged only consumers facing an urgent need for cooking gas to visit the designated sites at the specified times with the valid identification documents. Now, the corporation said LPG supplies have continued through regular dealers, but complaints from consumers unable to obtain cylinders have prompted the temporary arrangement. The shortage has caused growing difficulties for households in the Kathmandu Valley, where LPG remains a primary source of fuel for cooking. In other news, Nepal's Finance Minister Dr. Swarnim Wagle has called on Nepalis living abroad to confidently explore investment opportunities in Nepal. Delivering a video message to the 11th Asia-Pacific Conference of the Non-Resident Nepali Association (NRNA), which kicked off in Guangzhou of China today, the minister said the government is working to create a more investment-friendly environment by introducing 27 new laws through the budget.
We welcome diasporic investment. प्रवासी साथीहरु अब ढुक्का साथ नेपालमा आएर लगानी गर्नुस्, पर्यटनमा लगानी गर्नुस्, आईटीमा लगानी गर्नुस्, स्वच्छ ऊर्जामा लगानी गर्नुस्, हाई भ्यालु एग्रिकल्चरमा लगानी गर्नुस्, ग्रीन री-इन्डस्ट्रियलाइजेसनका अवसरहरुमा ती अवसरहरु पनि छोप्नुस् र हामीले अलिअलि इम्पोर्ट डिस्प्लेसमेन्टको लागि पनि स्वदेशी उत्पादनमा पनि विशेष पहलहरु सुरु गरेका छौं, त्यसमा पनि सहभागी हुनुस्।
Frequent changes in leadership, no confidence motions, factional signatures and interference from the central level have raised questions over the stability and effectiveness of Nepal's provincial governments. Concerns have also emerged that political uncertainty could affect the implementation of the current fiscal year's budget. The CPN-UMO and CPN-Maoist Centre had reached a 3-point agreement on provincial government leadership on July 25. However, the two parties were forced to issue a 5-point directive again last Tuesday to ensure implementation of the agreement. Although an understanding was reached at the top level, resolving disputes over power sharing at the provincial level has remained difficult. The parties are still negotiating the distribution of provincial leadership and ministries. It is said repeated changes in provincial leadership, no confidence motions, factional maneuvering and intervention from the central leadership have strengthened arguments questioning the relevance of the provincial structure. Against this backdrop, there is growing recognition of the need for a political culture that strengthens rather than weakens Nepal's provincial governments. The Nepal government has come up with a plan to provide concessional loans up to 5 million Nepali rupees to the families of the martyrs and the injured of the Gen Z movement to run self-employment businesses. The Ministry of Finance issued the procedures on interest subsidy for concessional loans, Second Amendment 2083, on Friday to make the arrangement. The procedure stated that concessional loans can be made available for martyr families and the injured for businesses related to agriculture and livestock, cottage and small industries, service businesses, IT-based businesses, tourism enterprises, productive industries, start-up ventures and other employment-oriented businesses as designated by the government from time to time. Besides, the government has widened the scope of concessional loans, aiming at economically empowering families and the injured affected by the Gen Z movement through self-employment and entrepreneurship. Let's take a short breather here. We shall be back with more updates. You're watching NTV World Primetime News. Welcome back. Various reports and proposals have been presented at the national gathering of the non-establishment faction of the Nepali Congress. During the closed session of the gathering being held at Kathmandu, several proposals, including amendments to the party statute, were presented for discussion. Leader Bimalendra Nidhi presented a political report at this meeting. His report states that, in the name of generational transition, those who have contributed at every stage of the movement have been humiliated in violation of established procedures. Similarly, leader Ramesh Lekhak presented a concept paper on amendments to the party statute. It proposes provisions under which, in general, one person would be allowed to hold only one position at a time. At the meeting, Dr. Prakash Sharan Mahat presented a paper outlining the direction of the Nepali Congress's economic and social policies, while NP Saud presented a contemporary political proposal. Leader Mohan Basnet said the reports presented during the closed session would be discussed and adopted with necessary decisions on Sunday. Leaders of the non-establishment faction have claimed that there are procedural errors in the process of calling a special general convention of the Nepali Congress. Meanwhile, Nepali Congress's Vice President Bishwa Prakash Sharma has said there is no need for confusion over the legitimacy of the party president and Central Working Committee. Speaking at an event in Lalitpur today, Sharma said there should be no uncertainty regarding the legitimacy of the party president and Central Working Committee, as the Election Commission and the court have recognized the Special General Convention as having been conducted according to due procedure.
अदालतले नेपाली कांग्रेसको केन्द्रीय समिति बदर गरेको छैन, सभापति गगन थापा होइन भनेर उल्ट्याएको अवस्था बिल्कुलै होइन। त्यसैले नेपाली कांग्रेसको सभापति को हो भनिरहँदै गर्दाखेरि उहाँहरू अल्मलिनु पर्ने, केन्द्रीय समिति को भन्दा अल्मलिनु पर्ने अवस्था छैन। त्यसैले आवेगमा आएर होइन अब यता नेम प्लेट राख्ने, उता राख्ने, उहाँ पनि नै सभापति हो, उहाँ पनि नै कार्य समिति नै हो, उहाँ नै पदाधिकारी हो भन्ने कुरा भनेको चाहिँ खेलको नियम विधि भन्दा त्यो बाहिरको कुरा हुन्छ। हामी आग्रह गर्छौं कि विधिभित्र जसरी खेल चल्छ त्यसरी नै विधिभित्र राजनीति चल्नुपर्छ।
Moving on, Waling municipality in Syangza of Western Nepal has made pink uniforms mandatory for students in all community schools, extending the city's Pink City identity to the classroom. The new uniform policy applies students from grades 1 to 10 across 59 community schools. Rojina Rai, along with local correspondent from Tsiangja, Sushil Subedi, brings more.
Walling municipality in Tsiangja district is the only municipality in Nepal to have an official single-color policy, requiring buildings in the central market area to be painted pink. Recently, the municipality has been moving ahead with its smart city vision while simultaneously reinforcing its identity as the pink city. Around 80% of houses in Walling are already painted pink. Now the municipality has extended the campaign to community schools. Deputy Mayor Kavita Tiwari Gaire says all 3,092 students from grades 1 to 10 in the municipality's 59 community schools are required to wear the prescribed pink uniform.
पोशाक वितरण गर्दा 1-10 का विद्यार्थीहरूलाई लक्षित गरेर पोशाक वितरण गरेको छ। अब अहिलेसम्म 3092 जना विद्यार्थीहरूले चाहिँ
The municipality has provided 1,000 rupees per student to the respective schools to support the purchase of the uniforms. Students have already started wearing the prescribed dress. Students and teachers say they are proud to be a part of this initiative.
हाम्रो नगरपालिका वालिङ नगरपालिका भनेको पिङ्क सिटी हो। त्यैभएर यस्तो गर्दा हामीले यो नगरपालिकाको धेरै नै क्लोज भएको जस्तो लाग्छ अनि हामी यो नगरपालिकाको बासिन्दा भएर हामीले यो नगरपालिकाले पिङ्क सिटी भनेकोमा रेस्पेक्ट गरेको जस्तो भइरहेको छ।
The campaign has also given a boost to local tailoring businesses, creating additional employment opportunities.
मैले अहिलेसम्म 700 जना विद्यार्थीको काम गरिरहेको छु 3-4 वटा स्कुललाई कोअर्डिनेट गरेर। यसले हामीले रोजगारी पनि सिर्जना गरिरहेको छ सर।
With this move, Walling's pink campaign is no longer limited to buildings and streets. It is now extending into schools, turning the color into a symbol of identity, unity, harmony, and prosperity. The municipality hopes the campaign will further strengthen its message, Pink Walling, United Walling.
India is marking its 80th Independence Day today, with Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressing the nation from the Red Fort in New Delhi. Modi addressed the special ceremony held at the historic Red Fort this morning, calling on citizens to move forward with renewed enthusiasm, goals and resolve. He said Independence Day serves as an inspiration for India to pursue new national objectives and commitments. India gained independence from British rule on August 15, 1947. The day is commemorated annually with celebrations across the country as well as at Indian diplomatic missions around the world. Meanwhile, Nepal's Prime Minister Balendra Shah has extended the best wishes to Prime Minister Narendra Modi and to the people and government of India on the occasion of 80th Independence Day. In a post on his official X account earlier this morning, the Prime Minister has also wished that the deep historical ties, close people-to-people relations and cooperations between Nepal and India may continue to strengthen in the years ahead. Time again for a short breather. We shall be back with international updates. At least 38 people have been killed after a 7.7 magnitude earthquake struck Indonesia early on Saturday, the nation's disaster mitigation agency has said. The official death toll has been rising as a search and rescue operation gets underway. The disaster mitigation agency said several people had been injured to varying degrees. Buildings in the region have been damaged by the quake and the dozens of aftershocks that followed. In other news, South Korea's president has proposed talks with its northern neighbor on officially ending the war between the two that is technically still active. Lee Jae-myung suggested a multi-layered security system to avoid flare-ups along the country's de facto border known as the Demilitarized Zone, DMZ, and offered to discuss practical ways of halting Pyongyang's nuclear ambitions. North Korea has continually tested ballistic missiles capable of carrying nuclear warheads, which has been perceived in Seoul and nearby Japan as an attempt to intimidate and project power. The conflict between the two occupants of the Korean peninsula has been effectively frozen since an armistice was signed in 1953. However, there has been clashes and tensions along the DMZ in the decades since, along with accusations from both sides of provocations, including dropping balloons carrying rubbish and propaganda. Meanwhile, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, accompanied by his daughter Kim Yoo-ae and wife Ri Sol-ju, paid tribute at the Revolutionary Martyrs Cemetery in Pyongyang on August 14, marking the 81st anniversary of the end of World War II. Kim and his family laid flowers and paid respects to revolutionary martyrs ahead of North Korea's Liberation Day on August 15, which commemorates Korea's liberation from Japanese colonial rule in 1945. State media has said the visit honored those who fought for national liberation and highlighted the country's efforts to preserve their legacy. The anniversary is one of North Korea's major national occasions and is marked with ceremonies and commemorative events across the country. Moving on, Japan marked 81 years since its surrender in World War II on August 15, with more than 4,000 people attending a national memorial ceremony in Tokyo. Emperor Naruhito and Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi paid tribute to approximately 3.1 million people who died in the war and called for peace and remembrance. The ceremony included a moment of silence while the emperor urged future generations to preserve memories of the hardships of war and the importance of lasting peace. Meanwhile, thousands also visited Tokyo's Yasukuni Shrine, which honors about 2.5 million war dead, including convicted wartime criminals. The visits have drawn controversy because the shrine also commemorates figures convicted of war crimes linked to Japan's wartime aggression in Asia. Now, U.S. President Donald Trump said he would soon declare the Strait of Hormuz part of U.S. territory, claiming that Iran was being heavily defeated. Speaking at a political rally at a police academy in New York State, Trump reportedly said he planned to declare the strategic waterway U.S. territory, making the remarks with a chuckle.
And after we finish defeating Iran, which is being very badly defeated, pretty soon I'll be declaring the Hormuz Strait a territory of the United States. Essentially, that's what it is. We have the blockade. No ships get through unless we want them to.
Now, U.S. aircraft carrier is headed to the Middle East to replace the USS Abraham Lincoln, on which thousands of sailors have reportedly faced food shortages and difficult conditions on an extended 9-month deployment. The USS George Washington, which was near Malaysia on Thursday, could arrive in the region in about 9 days. Family members of sailors aboard the Lincoln have expressed concern about their mental health deteriorating due to the conditions, with some sailors having reportedly attempted to jump overboard. While the U.S. Navy has acknowledged supply challenges, it has denied that a mental health crisis was taking place on the Lincoln, which has 5,000 aboard. Let's take another short breather here. We shall be back with more international and sports update. Afghans waving flags gathered at Massoud Square in Kabul next to the former U.S. embassy as they marked the 5th anniversary of the Taliban's return to power. The Taliban government celebrated 5 years of rule on August 15, highlighting what it described as national freedom, security and stability. Taliban authorities held commemorative events across the country to mark the anniversary. The group said Afghanistan has achieved greater security since its return to power in 2021. Critics, however, continue to condemn restrictions on women and girls and tighter controls over daily life. In other news, France's top court has struck down a ban on social media for under-15s, saying it infringed upon freedom of expression. The legislation was backed by French lawmakers in July, making it the first European country to block young people from the platforms after concerns over the harmful effects on children's mental health. Friday's ruling by the Constitutional Council overrides the ban, which Emmanuel Macron had pledged would be introduced in stages from September. Responding to the news, the French president immediately asked Prime Minister Sébastien Lecornu to prepare a new draft that would take into account all the Council's points. The ruling also raised concerns over the law's requirement to provide proof of age to access online services and said it failed to establish the legal safeguards necessary. Now, a French father and his 2 young sons were rescued after spending more than 16 hours adrift at sea when their jet ski capsized off Thailand's Koh Samui Island, officials said on Saturday. The 50-year-old man and his 5- and 7-year-old sons were found exhausted and were taken to hospital for medical checks before being discharged. Local official Amorn Chomchoy said the family had swallowed seawater and appeared pale, particularly the 2 children. The father had rented the jet ski from a local operator before the accident occurred in the Gulf of Thailand. The incident has prompted renewed attention to safety measures for tourists using watercraft around Koh Samui. Time now for sports update. Nepal has entered the final phase of preparations for the 20th Asian Games in Japan's Aichi, Nagoya, with 136 athletes undergoing intensive close training. Nepal will compete in 22 sports, including women's volleyball, men's cricket and kabaddi in the sports Jamboree scheduled to be held from September 19 to October 4. Athletes in several disciplines are also receiving specialized training in China, South Korea, India and Thailand. Nepal won 1 silver and 1 bronze medal at the 2022 Hangzhou Asian Games. This time, the National Sports Council has set an ambitious target of double-digit medals, including gold. A total of 217 athletes, coaches and officials are expected to travel to Japan, with preparations continuing despite concerns over limited funding, sports science and training facilities. Now, a consortium containing Amazon founder Jeff Bezos and Facebook co-founder Eduardo Saverin is buying a minority stake in Premier League club Liverpool, the English soccer giant has said. Club owner Fenway Sports Group, FSG, said in a statement it entered into a definitive agreement for the sale to 1892 Holdings. The investor group is led by Amit Bhatia, who is married to a daughter of Indian steel magnate Lakshmi Mittal and has taken a stake of more than 30% in the 20-time English champion, according to Sky News. The deal reportedly values Liverpool at around $6 billion. Boston-based FSG paid $400 million to take over Liverpool in 2010 and also owns the Boston Red Sox. It marks the first foray into soccer by Bezos, who, according to Forbes, is the fourth richest person in the world with a net worth of around $280 billion. Now, before wrapping up, let's take a look at the headlines once again. NOC sells cooking gas cylinders from 5 locations in Kathmandu. Move aimed at easing acute shortage. Finance Minister urges overseas to invest confidently in Nepal, adds conducive environment created by introducing new laws. Frequent leadership changes in Nepal's provincial governments raise questions over stability. Uncertainty also threatens budget implementations. At least 38 killed after 7.7 magnitude earthquake rattles Indonesia. Search and rescue underway. South Korea proposes talks to officially end war with the North. President Lee offers solution to avoid border flare-ups. And Nepal steps up preparations for upcoming 20th Asian Games. 136 athletes undergoing intensive close training. That's all for the moment. Our next bulletin will be at 2200 hours Nepal time. Do join us through our social media and get the latest updates from our official website, nepaltelevision.com. Thank you for staying with us. Have a wonderful evening ahead.
Welcome to the studios of NTV World in Kathmandu, Public Service Broadcasting PSB Nepal's new initiative to make Nepal more visible and audible to the global audience. Welcome on board.
This is NTV World, facts that speak, insights that matter.
Telling the stories of a changing planet. NTV World, Nepal's perspective to the world.
Exploring the heartbeat of Nepali creativity. This is NTV World.
The power of story shaped by technology. NTV World.
Unearthing Nepal's hidden heritage. Discovering the timeless Nepal.
Telling stories that endure across centuries. Where culture breathes, stories
bloom. When the world moves, we make a sense of it. NTV World.
Taste of Nepal. Every recipe, every flavor tells the story.
Journalism in the digital age. Fast, focused, verified.
Stories hold power. Stories reflecting life. Stories of the hinterlands. Reporting for NTV World.
This is NTV World. Welcome to News Hour.
This is NTV World. Welcome to Primetime News.
One story at a time.
Crossing borders, connecting voices, where Nepal meets the world in dialogue. This is NTV World, Nepal's perspective to the world.
Voices that connect Nepal to the world, bringing perspective, region and relevance to every story. NTV World, Nepal's perspective to the world.
Stand by. Mic is on.
3, 2, 1, cue.
We are NTV World.
This is The World This Week, your weekly roundup of the latest international events and updates. I am Bhavana Kesi, and in this edition, we bring you the week's top headlines from escalating geopolitical tensions, major diplomatic developments, climate concerns, breakthroughs in science and technology, cultural celebrations, and inspiring stories of human feat and resilience. We have all that you need. Tensions between Iran and the United States are escalating, with the strategically vital Strait of Hormuz at the center of growing regional crisis.
Tensions between Iran and the United States are escalating, with the strategically vital Strait of Hormuz at the center of a growing regional crisis. Iran has warned that the strait will remain closed until its conditions are met, while the United States has threatened an indefinite naval blockade. The standoff has raised concerns over the movement of oil and other energy supplies through one of the world's most important shipping routes. Gulf countries are bearing the impact of the crisis, with Kuwait facing disruptions to its oil sector and repeated attacks on energy infrastructure. Al-Sabah says the current crisis is placing unprecedented pressure on Kuwait's oil industry, although the scale of destructions remain far below that of the 1990 Iraqi invasion.
Without a doubt, this is the toughest and biggest crisis that we have faced in the oil sector in Kuwait since the 1990 invasion by Iraq. Obviously, 1990, the level of destruction was magnitudes higher than where we are now. However, this crisis has presented a new challenge.
The disruption has also raised fears over global energy supplies, as Gulf producers rely heavily on the Strait of Hormuz to transport crude oil and other petroleum products to international markets. With no immediate resolution in sight, uncertainty over the future of the Strait of Hormuz continues to weigh on both regional security and global energy markets.
And while tensions remain high in the region, efforts to end the conflict in Gaza have also hit another roadblock as Israel rejected a US-backed 15-point plan. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has rejected US President Donald Trump's 15-point plan for Gaza, stating that no military pullout will happen until Hamas is genuinely disarmed. Trump's Board of Peace said last month that it had reached an agreement for the complete disarmament of Hamas and other armed groups in Gaza. But Hamas said handing over its heavy weapons was contingent on Israel ending all forms of aggression and withdrawing its forces from Gaza. Israel, meanwhile, has continued to carry out strikes on Gaza since agreeing to an initial ceasefire in the territory last October. Netanyahu, at a cabinet meeting on Sunday, said Israel rejected the 15-point document.
ישראל שוללת את מספר 15 הנקודות. צה"ל לא יבצע נסיגה כלשהי עד פירוק החמאס מנשקו. בנוסף, צה"ל ימשיך לסכל את האיומים נגד כוחותינו ואזרחינו.
Trump last month announced a monumental step toward lasting peace and security after Hamas said it had accepted a disarmament plan for Gaza. It signals another blow for Trump's Gaza peace plan, which was announced in September last year. The plan included the creation of the Board of Peace to oversee the agreement's implementation, as well as the disarmament of Hamas, withdrawal of Israeli troops, and reconstruction of Gaza. From conflict in the Middle East to a devastating natural disaster in South America, Colombia is mourning after a powerful earthquake killed more than 200 people, while rescue teams are racing against time to find survivors trapped beneath the rubble.
A powerful 7.4 magnitude earthquake has killed more than 200 people in western Colombia, leaving thousands injured and hundreds missing. The earthquake, the strongest to hit the country in a century, caused widespread destruction across several cities, with homes, roads, and critical infrastructure damaged or destroyed. Rescue teams are racing against time to reach people trapped beneath collapsed buildings using search dogs, heavy machinery, and specialized equipment to clear the rubble. Hospitals in some of the worst-hit areas are under severe pressure as they treat a large number of injured people and displaced residents. Authorities have declared a state of emergency and launched a major rescue and relief operation, while international assistance is being deployed to support affected communities. Rescue crews, meanwhile, continue to work around the clock as hopes of finding survivors remain.
Europe is battling another spell of extreme heat, with temperatures soaring across several countries, wildfires spreading in parts of the continent, and unusually warm seas adding to concerns over the region's changing climate.
Europe is battling another severe heat wave with soaring temperatures and prolonged dry conditions, fueling wildfires across parts of the continent. Western Europe has recorded its hottest ever June and July, while the United Kingdom is bracing for its fifth heat wave of the year, putting further pressure on water supplies and increasing drought risks. The extreme heat comes as the world's oceans recorded their hottest ever July, with average sea surface temperatures reaching 20.96 degrees Celsius, according to the EU's Copernicus Climate Change Service. July was also the joint second warmest month globally on record, at 1.47 degrees Celsius above the estimated pre-industrial average. Climate scientists say the combination of rising temperatures, dry conditions, and unusually warm seas is intensifying concerns over the accelerating impacts of climate change. Several European countries are also facing heightened wildfire risks, with firefighters battling blazes amid hot, dry, and windy conditions. The prolonged heat is also putting pressure on agriculture, energy demand, and public health, with authorities urging people to take precautions. Forecasters warn that persistent heat and dry conditions could further worsen water shortages and increase the risk of drought across vulnerable parts of Europe.
From the operating theatre to artificial intelligence, robotic technology is transforming how the surgeons work as UK hospitals move towards the wider use of advanced robotic-assisted surgery. A London hospital is demonstrating the growing role of robotic-assisted surgery as medical professionals prepare for wider adoption of advanced systems, including the new Da Vinci 5 robotic surgical platform. Surgeon Sasa Stamenikovic told visiting doctors that younger surgeons often adapt more quickly to robotic procedures with skills developed through activities such as gaming and music, potentially helping shape the surgeons of the future. He said robotic training is becoming an increasingly important part of modern surgical practice.
There is a difference between standard keyhole surgery and robotic surgery. You have two hands which you're operating with bimanually always. And that's how the original open surgery used to be. Keyhole surgery kind of compromised that a bit, and robotic surgery has brought you back to what surgeons wanted to do, which was to have an art form, able to create something with their hands, and not to have the compromise of stiff and difficult instrumentation.
The UK government has set a target for robotic assistants to be used in 9 out of 10 keyhole surgeries in England by 2035 as part of efforts to improve surgical outcomes. Ali Ansaripur, a senior cardiothoracic trainee completing a robotic fellowship, said robotic surgery could provide major benefits for patients, including shorter hospital stays, reduced pain and faster recovery times, with many patients able to return home within 1 or 2 days.
The benefits are shorter length of stay, less pain for the patient going home day 1, day 2, making sure they're comfortable, less pain, less need for analgesia after the operation, and this is clear. So if you get to see the patient later today, you will see him walking around the ward. And that is a real example of what happens to every single patient we treat today.
76-year-old Ian MacLeod became the first patient in Britain to undergo lung cancer surgery using the new Da Vinci 5 robotic system. He said he experienced a quick recovery with only a small wound on his back from the surgical drain after the procedure.
That was extraordinary. In fact, after the operation, I found out quite quickly that I only had one stitch in a small wound on my back, and that was where the drain was. As far as walking, I think after I went back to the ward, which was only maybe half an hour after the surgery, I was walking.
The case marks a significant milestone in UK's adoption of robotic technology as hospitals continue expanding advanced surgical techniques. From cutting-edge technology in modern operating rooms, we now turn thousands of years back in time as archaeologists in Italy uncover a remarkable Roman-era shipwreck off the coast of Sicily. A Roman-era shipwreck dating back to between the 2nd and 1st centuries BC has been discovered off the coast of Sicily near Mazzaro del Vallo. Italy's Carabinieri police released footage showing hundreds of ancient amphorae, mainly of the Dress L1A type, scattered across the seabed along with 2 laid anchor stocks. The wreck lies at the depth of around 46 meters and is believed to offer valuable clues about ancient maritime trade in the Mediterranean. Officials said the site was identified during an underwater survey following a report from a private citizen. Archaeologists are now documenting the remains and working to protect the site from looting and damage. From the depth of the ocean to the skies above Europe, a rare total solar eclipse turned day into darkness, captivating thousands of sky watchers eager to witness one of nature's most spectacular phenomena.
A rare total solar eclipse swept across parts of Europe, briefly turning day into darkness and drawing thousands of sky watchers to viewing sites. The eclipse was visible in totality across parts of Russia, Iceland, and Europe, while a partial eclipse could be seen across wider parts of Europe, Canada, the northern United States, and northwest Africa. In the UK, more than 90% of the sun was covered by the moon, including above the historic Stonehenge site. Special viewing glasses were in high demand as people gathered to watch the rare celestial event, with observers in Spain also witnessing the moon pass across the sun and transform the daylight into an unusual twilight. The event created a dramatic drop in daylight and temperatures in the areas along the eclipse path as the moon briefly blocked the sunlight. Astronomers and researchers also used the eclipse to observe the sun's outer atmosphere, while scientists urged the public to use certified eye protection while viewing the event. The eclipse became a major attraction for tourists and astronomy enthusiasts, with viewing events organized at several locations across Europe.
And while millions look to the skies, a different kind of spectacle is taking over the streets of China, where Chongqing's futuristic landscape is becoming a viral tourism attraction. Neon-lit streets in Chongqing of China have become a growing attraction for tourists looking to recreate the city's popular cyberpunk motorcycle videos. As night falls, the sound of motorcycle engines fills the streets while dozens of visitors take turns posing on brightly polished motorbikes for personalized videos and photographs. Teams of vendors offer filming services to tourists, providing motorcycles, protective gear, and camera crews to produce short videos against Chongqing's dense urban skyline and colorful neon lights. The trend has been fueled by viral footage of motorcycles waving through the city's elevated roads and illuminated streets, giving Chongqing a distinctive cyberpunk-style image on social media. Among the visitors was 30-year-old Liu Changqing, who traveled from Shanghai specifically to take part in the experience. Liu said the motorcycle suit was his top priority after arriving in Chongqing, even as he wore a heavy motorcycle jacket in the city's hot and humid weather. The growing demand has created a new tourism-related business for local vendors who are capitalizing on the city's online popularity by offering tourists a chance to become part of the viral motorcycle scenes. A familiar symbol of the Paris Olympics is once again lighting up the French capital as the iconic Olympic cauldron returns to the skies above the Tuileries Gardens. The Olympic cauldron balloon has been reinstalled in Tuileries Garden in Paris, giving visitors another opportunity to see the landmark structure that became one of the most recognizable symbols of the Olympic Games. The installation, designed by Aerofield, will rise into the Paris sky every evening from 21 June until 14 September if weather conditions permit. The return of the cauldron has drawn attention from residents and tourists who previously saw the spectacle only through television coverage. They said the experience of seeing the structure in person creates a stronger emotional impact. The installation's return to the Tuileries Gardens allows the public to experience a piece of the Olympic celebrations beyond the Games period, as Paris continues to showcase one of the most memorable recent symbols. Officials said the attraction is expected to remain a major draw for visitors throughout the summer, offering a visual reminder of the city's role as the host of the international sporting event. The cauldron will continue its evening flights until September, subject to weather and safety conditions. For adventure seekers, an extreme canyon route is testing strength, skill and endurance in Turkey, combining near vertical rock descents, rushing waters and challenging climbs.
An extreme adventure route at Guyver Cliff is attracting thriller seeker with a challenging combination of steep rock descents, canyon crossings and waterfalls. The route begins at the top of the cliff where participants descend near vertical rock faces using ropes. The technically demanding sections require experience, balance and concentration, with some stretches offering little room for secure footing. After reaching the bottom, adventurers continue through a narrow canyon, navigating large rocks and cold water before reaching scenic areas deeper in the valley. The final stage involves climbing through water, completing a demanding circuit that tests participants' strength, endurance, and ability to cope with difficult terrain. Participants describe the route as physically exhausting and highly technical, warning that it should not be attempted without proper training and experience. They said the descent requires complete focus, while another described the route as extremely difficult because of the steep climbs and freezing water. Another participant said the combination of physical effort, depth, and adrenaline makes the experience worthwhile despite pushing the limits of endurance.
From human endurance to the raw power of nature, Hawaii's Kilauea volcano has erupted once again, sending fresh fountains of lava in another dramatic display from one of the world's most active volcanoes.
Hawaii's Kilauea volcano has erupted again, sending fresh fountains of lava into the air in another dramatic display of volcanic activity. The latest eruption began on August 12th within Hawaii Volcanoes National Park and continued for several hours. The U.S. Geological Survey said the eruption produced powerful bursts of lava from the crater, marking another episode of Kilauea's ongoing activity. The volcano has been one of the world's most active for decades, with eruptions regularly reshaping the surrounding landscapes. Authorities are continuing to monitor volcanic activity, gas emissions, and conditions around the summit area, while visitors are being advised to follow safety guidance. The latest eruption has once again drawn attention to the powerful geological forces shaping Hawaii's volcanic landscape.
Colombo's skies turned into a colorful spectacle as thousands of kite flyers from Sri Lanka and around the world gathered for the country's International Kite Festival. Hundreds of colorful kites filled the skies over Colombo as Sri Lanka hosted its International Kite Festival, bringing together more than 1,500 local kite flyers and 80 international enthusiasts from 30 countries. The festival transformed the city's skyline into a display of colorful and creatively designed kites, attracting participants and spectators from across Sri Lanka and abroad. International kite flyers showcased different designs and flying techniques, while local participants joined the event to celebrate the traditional and recreational side of kite flying. Organizers said the festival is aimed at strengthening cultural exchange and promoting Sri Lanka as a vibrant tourism destination. The event also provided an opportunity for international visitors to experience Sri Lankan culture while highlighting the country's potential as a destination for tourism, recreation, and large-scale cultural events. And finally, in Hanoi, one of ballet's most celebrated classics is bringing generations together as young and experienced dancers take the stage in a fresh interpretation of Tchaikovsky's Swan Lake. One of the world's best-known ballet classics, Tchaikovsky's Swan Lake, has been given a new interpretation in Hanoi, with dancers from different generations sharing the stage. The production was staged by the Vietnam Youth Ballet Center and brought together 43 dancers ranging in age from 7 to 40. The performance retained the core story and the spirit of the classic work while introducing a more contemporary approach to choreography, movement, and stage presentation. Program director and artist Dam Han Jiang said the production aimed to present Swan Lake in a brighter and more modern style while allowing dancers of different ages to contribute their own energy and emotion. The cast included experienced performers alongside youth dancers with roles requiring technical precision, physical strength, and a strong dramatic expression. Dancers also faced different technical challenges while preparing for the production, including demanding movements and contrasting roles such as the gentle white swan and more intense black swan. The performance highlighted the development of ballet in Vietnam and the growing involvement of younger generations in the art form. And that's all for this edition of The World This Week. We thank you for joining us and we hope you enjoyed as much as we did bringing it to you. We look forward to bringing you more of the stories shaping the world next week. You can also visit our website at www.nepaltelevision.com and follow us on our social media platforms and YouTube channel. I am Bhavna Kesi. Until next time, take care and goodbye.
Annapurna Circuit Trek features in world's 10 best destinations and adventures. The trekking circuit is the choice of many trekkers as it offers both adventure along with mesmerizing view of mountain ranges. Arguably the best trekking circuit in the world, travelers get up close with dozens of mountains including the Annapurna, Dhaulagiri, Nilgiri. Annapurna Circuit ideally is a 14-day trek. The circuit passes through Lamjung, Manang, Mustang and Myagdi district, including Thorangla Pass as the highest point. Places including Dhampus, Ghandruk and Poon Hill are part of this trekking circuit. The revered Muktinath shrine is also part of the circuit. Only foreigners were seen in this circuit few years back, but now domestic tourists are also flocking the area. If you are looking for a lifetime trekking experience, then pack your bags for Annapurna trekking circuit. Mardi Base Camp Trek, also part of the Annapurna circuit, is another alternative route for trekkers who can't afford time. Trekkers can be up close with mountains including the Annapurna Range, Dhaulagiri, Machapuchre and Manasalu in this circuit. This 7-day circuit is attracting many trekkers for obvious reasons.
In 1960, Nepal took a bold and visionary step of the time, becoming one of the very first South Asian nations to establish diplomatic relations with the State of Israel. It was a partnership forged by two nations navigating the complexities of the Cold War, yet finding common ground in the pursuit of sovereignty and development. Today, as the Middle East, or West Asia as we say, faces its most profound crisis in decades, and the world grapples with a new era of forward defense and strategic alignment. And we seek to look at how this bond is evolving. Welcome to Geopod. I am Shivani Thapa-Bosneth. In this episode, we attempt to explore a relationship that is as historic as it is quiet, yet increasingly pivotal in the shifting sands of global diplomacy. Joining me today is His Excellency Smilik Aribas, Israel's ambassador to Nepal. Welcome to Geopod, Your Excellency. Such a privilege it is to have you here with us at NTV World. A little more than a year in Kathmandu now, and I hear you've been intensively traveling across the country.
My career is very eclectic, from Japan and Australia to El Salvador in Central America. But in Israeli culture, Nepal has a very special place, because we call it the roof of the world, the beautiful Himalaya, the very kind people, the diversity of ethnic groups and climate areas. So it always was a place that my wife and I wanted to be.
Let's start with history, Your Excellency. In 1960, or the year 1960, is so important for both the countries. Prime Minister B.P. Koirala and David Ben-Gurion shared a certain socialist idealism, a vision of nation building through grit and nationalism, right? Nepal was one among the very pioneering countries here in South Asia to establish its diplomatic relations with Israel. How much of that pioneering spirit remains today, or how does the legacy of 1960 inform your work here in 2026?
Judaism and Nepal culture that builds on Hindu and Buddhism are very ancient civilizations, and each citizen, member of the other civilization, is interested in the others. We had our first foreign minister traveling, Moshe Sharet, and he met in Bandung B.P. Koirala first and reported to Israel, and then there was some kind of interaction, yes. I should say that lately I saw that the then king of Nepal, visited Israel in 1958, 2 years before. But it was really the initiative of B.P. Koirala to have the diplomatic relation done with Israel, which was a growing power in the Middle East, from almost nothing, no natural resources, to a power in agriculture and in other subjects. So it was done, although there were some pressures from inside and from outside Nepal. He was determined to go with that, and Nepal was the first in South Asia to have diplomatic relations, before 32 years before India, 32 years before China. That was amazing. So Israel in the first years assisted heavily Nepal. We had experts. I've been in Kanchanpur, and the mayor there told me that there was a an Israeli expert planning the agriculture and urban areas, and they are very satisfied with this. No change is required. We had a colonel building the parachutist unit and commando unit. We had courses in Israel where a lady from Nepal took the early childhood, and now it's spread out in Nepal. So in many, many subjects, not only agriculture, in health, in IT lately, and in many cases. This was the first years. In 1966, we had our first visit, unfortunately only last, of a president of the State of Israel here in Nepal.
That was 1966?
Yeah, 60 years ago. And we try with Nepali officials to try to have another official visit. We would like that very much, to show that the two countries really have friendly relationship.
That suggests a relationship built on more than just formal engagements, and yet, like very modern partnerships, it also operates in multiple layers, right? How do you see Nepal-Israel relationship navigating this complexity?
Well, both countries had 2-3 years of instability, political instability. So the view was inwards in Israel as well as in Nepal. So there was not much interaction. We had, of course, the COVID and the problem with the Hamas terror group. And lately with other cases in the Middle East. So we are looking forward to expanding, strengthening the ties with the new government of Nepal, which has a very solid stand in the parliament, and we would like to see how the interest of Nepal come with the interest of Israel together for a better future.
Nepal is in another very, very pivotal or crucial transitions of all times, right? So you of late got an opportunity to meet with the foreign minister as well.
Yes. Actually, I met him twice before he was nominated, and luckily, thanks to the government of Nepal, I met him lately. I think beginning of this week. All the meetings were very friendly, very frank, very positive on the way to strengthening the ties. No hurdles, no problems envisaged. We would like to go together to have better relations for the benefit of both peoples.
Mm-hmm. If we step back slightly, Your Excellency, this also speaks of how countries position themselves, in a more complex global environment, right? Nepal has traditionally followed balanced and independent foreign policy. How do you see these smaller nations navigating these competing demands in the present-day world?
I think Israel shows a very good example of a very, very small nation. We are 1/3 of the population of Nepal. We are 1/7 of the territory of Nepal, surrounded by some hostile neighbors. We tried, first of all, to survive. That is obvious. But not only to lean on that, but to fix the world. This is a value in Judaism. Tikkun olam is a value that a person should not leave the world not better after him. not to keep it as is, but always to do a better thing, to live a better place. So that leaves a lot of space for innovation, finding solutions, answers for problems, and the Israeli economy, agriculture, but also industry and high tech went from higher level to another.
Let me widen the frame to your region now, which is certainly seizing the global spotlight at the moment. The Middle East, West Asia, as we say, it's undergoing significant shifts diplomatically, strategically, and even militarily. What are the key principles guiding Israel's approach in this evolving landscape?
Israel wishes peace from its beginning, doesn't want any territories or anything from the neighbors, the immediate neighbors, or further neighbors. We find that Iran, since its Islamic Revolution 47 years ago, put a goal to have the Shia rule of religious people prevailing in the world. For that, they saw Israel as they said, small Satan, and the US as big Satan. But as freedom of speech, anybody can say anything he likes. But when a country, a big country, Iran is 80 times Israel. It's not 7 times, it's 80 times Israel. And when it takes all the resources, and instead of building infrastructure, hospitals, schools, to have a good flow of water, mind you, there are some lakes which are dry, all of them. Instead of doing that, putting emphasis only on arms, and very sophisticated arms, meaning one, nuclear program, and secondly, accurate ballistic missiles, meant not only against Israel. Israel is only 1,500 kilometers far or 2,000 kilometers far. They already have ballistic missiles for 4,000 kilometers, and they aim to the eastern shores of the US, which are 10,000 kilometers. So they not only invested in this armament, but they created proxies, partners, little partners that in one day will all go against Israel. That is the Hamas terror group, Islamic Jihad terror group, those in Gaza and in the territories in West Bank, Hezbollah in South Lebanon, the Houthis, which are part of one part of three groups challenging ruling Yemen, the Bashar al-Assad regime in Syria that was eventually torn down, militias in Iraq. So we see a lot of transfer of finance assistance, but also training and ammunition to many people in the surrounding of Israel. Tragically, we had the October 7th attack. It was, in a way, and I will sound very strange, in a way it was good to have this tragedy, unfortunately, separated from the others, because they thought they will make more impact in a certain day not with the coordination of Iran. And this led to the joining of Hezbollah and then joining the Houthis, but little by little they were ruined against the power that Israel has. Then without the proxies, Iran thought it must go very fast to complete the two main goals, the nuclear program and the accurate ballistic missile program. In the nuclear program, they claimed that they have only civilian program, but civilian program has uranium enriched only to the level of 2.67%. In the nature, it is 1%. You enrich it to 2.65% and you have good material for civilian tasks. But they already enriched it to 60%. That is only, experts say, not I, experts say that this is on the way to ballistic bomb, nuclear bomb, nuclear armament. Israel had to stop that. And luckily the US in the last days of June attack on Iranian bases of nuclear program and ballistic program. The US joined in the last day. That was in June 2025. Now the US really understood the risk, not only to Israel, not only to the US. We have seen after it happened that Iran shoots on its neighbors that did not do anything against Iran, against Kuwait, which does not have diplomatic relation with Israel, Qatar without diplomatic relation, Oman, but against other countries, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, Emirates, without them attacking Iran. So we say that they have the guts to send everything they have against Israel and against their immediate neighbors, also against Azerbaijan and Turkey. What will happen when they have nuclear weapons and more accurate ballistic missiles? So Israel does not look for enmity or any belligerency. No, but when it comes to our survival, we have to act. We really hope that the conflict will be solved in diplomacy, in a good way, in a pacifistic way. We don't trust the Iranians. We have to see their real resolve to finish with the nuclear program and the ballistic program, because after the program that was initiated by President Obama, then President of the USA, they cheated the world. Instead of not doing anything in the nuclear program, they developed it more than it was allowed. So we don't trust them.
Let's focus on the strategic map for a bit, Your Excellency. Like, as you just said, for decades, the confrontation between Israel and Iran, as how the world has been seeing, was defined as a very strategic patience, and if I may say, into proxy engagements as well. And that era, at the moment, seems to have ended, right? Because we have seen a shift from the war between wars, to kinetic exchanges now. Critics also argue that, the eye for an eye cycle risks a regional conflagration that no one, including the allies of Israel, can contain. Now, what is Israel's strategic objective here? Is it containment? Is it regime degradation? Or are we witnessing the beginning of a very fundamental redraw of the region's security architecture?
Israel doesn't have that as a goal. Israel wants survival. Survival cannot be with nuclear program by the hands of Iran. Cannot be. So we negotiated with diplomatic means from 1993, where they began to do their steps towards the nuclear weapons, not nuclear civilian program. And Israel does not engage with change of regime. It is not our task. Israel is very small, and the Iranian people is very courageous, very strong, with millions of people, 8 times the population of Israel. We don't need to change anything. They will have the power with the right moment to change it for the future of them, of themselves. Because, as I said, the rulers of this regime take all the sources, and there are a lot of sources, petrochemic material and also oil, so much resources only against the US and against Israel.
Following the recent Iranian offensive, Israel has certainly asserted its right to decisive response. But for nations like Nepal and many countries in the global south, the fear is a total regional collapse or intensifying security. How does Israel satisfy its own security needs without losing the support of the global community that is in a way terrified of a larger war?
I think it's the other way around. I think what Israel is doing with the help of the US, of course, is leading, is make the world safer without the nuclear program. Because if we say nothing will happen until Iran will have the nuclear bomb, and then we'll see, no, they will be logic and they will not throw. We don't see that because they are really extreme religious rulers of a country. We understand the problems in the world economy. We didn't start it. The Iran saw that it doesn't have anything else to bargain or to fight with, so they closed the Hormuz Straits. But I have to emphasize, there is no shortage in oil, no shortage in energy. It can be dealt with in other places of the world. Venezuela has the largest reservoir of oil of all the world. It can sell to anybody. In other places, oil or energy is produced. So it deals with changing the suppliers for a certain time. If you say, no, I would like only from this supplier and there is now a problem, now you're in a problem. But if you can manage that in the free market, then the economy can be restored to normal time. We hope it is resolved in the coming days or weeks.
Right. So at this point, Israel sees that the other disruptions seen around the world is quite manageable compared to the looming threat that the region is seeing.
Indeed, this is the answer. Indeed.
So where does this road from now, from what is going on there, actually end?
With Iran understanding that it cannot export the revolution through nuclear program, through accurate ballistic missiles, through financing terror groups like Hezbollah, like Hamas, like other terror groups, the Houthis, the militias in Iraq, and go inside Iran and develop the infrastructure and the education, the democracy. Iran has elections, but there are committees who select who can pose for elections and who cannot. Only the most extreme can be elected. So they speak on behalf of the people, but the people doesn't want them. But it's up to now that we can talk. Israel does not do anything to change the regime.
Israel also shares a very long-standing partnership with the United States, Your Excellency. At the same time, just let's rewind things a little bit, right? There have been moments where Israel has taken decisions based on its own assessments as well. So how does Israel balance this very close partnership with its need for a strategic autonomy?
Because of finding the same interest, the same values, the U.S. sees in Israel a very reliable partner in the Middle East where things are volatile. There was the Arab Spring with so many uprisings leading not to democracy. The two parties, the Democrats and the Republicans, try to promote democracy in the world. They cannot find it in the Middle East apart from Israel. So Israel is a reliable basis for their values, for regional stability, and for innovation. There is a lot of cooperation between the US and Israel in innovation. Israel is I think number 2 or number 3 as a country in foreign investment, foreign shares in NASDAQ. So the bonds are very extensive, and the US really understand what are the risks of the world. It's so in Europe, it's so in the East, it's so in the Middle East as well.
Exercise its strategic autonomy while safeguarding these very important partnerships?
This is a very good question. Israel is an independent state. But when we partner with the strongest power of the world, we have to adjust to their interest. When the President of the US asked Israel to have a ceasefire in a certain place, we will take it very seriously, and although it's not in the best interest of Israel, because of the whole picture of partnership, Israel will do as requested. Mm-hmm. So Israel is an independent country where when there are requests demands that are putting the future of Israel in jeopardy, we will tell that frankly, and sometimes we will not do as requested, but so far it was a wonderful partnership.
For many years, the two-state framework has been central to discussions around a long-term peace. Given the current realities from what we are seeing, how does Israel today think about a sustainable political solution that ensures both security and long-term stability of the region?
Israel has gone a long way since the Oslo agreements in 1993. Afterwards, the Camp David meetings in the US, Camp David 1 and 2, and there were so many options, offers, programs to finalize the conflict with this slogan, two states, but we faced a negative approach from the Palestinians. President Clinton says, and it is open to the public to see, that Israel offered 96% of the area known from the history as belonging to Arab state, and other 4% from other places. At that time, Mr. Arafat refused. So it is not 100% for their space that they want. You see more and more that say all the area it has to be Palestinian state, not two states. Why did I say slogan? Because now there is an autonomy in the West, what is called West Bank. We can go into it, but we don't have time. We call it Judah and Samaria, this area. And there is another government in Gaza Strip. So there are two states or governments for the Palestinians already. How many more Palestinian states do they need? The actual problem lies with education. When both the Hamas ruling teaches for hating Jews and Israelis, and also the autonomy, the Palestinian autonomy teaches to hate Israelis, I don't see where we can coexist, where we can live in peace, because they are taught to hate us. So they wanted work opportunities in Israel while hating us. That cannot work together.
Even as these broader dynamics exist, Your Excellency, the Nepal-Israel relationship continues to deepen in more and more practical ways, right? So this is one of the focuses of our conversation today. Israel is widely recognized for its innovation ecosystem. Where do you see a very realistic, high-impact area where Israel can, Israel's expertise can support Nepal's digital and technological ambitions?
I will say very shortly about what exists now and what are the prospects. Up to now, we had the Mashav courses. Mashav is like it was with USAID or JICA or COICA, assisting in many ways. Israel's way to assist is technological transfer. Mashav is teaching many Nepalis as well as many other in many countries in various subjects, in agriculture, in health, in childhood, in women empowering, in many things. This is Mashav. The other one was the program that is called here Learn and Earn. We call it interns. It is meant for third-year agriculture students to have on the spot practical work to see how things are done, not only theoretically. We had in Mashav thousands of Nepalis going to Israel and Israeli experts coming here and teaching. We had up to 5,000 students of Learn and Earn. Many of them success stories. In the coming days, I will go and see for myself the third or fourth example of a student who went for 11 months to Israel, only 11 months, returned and has the tools to succeed individually and for the Nepali economy. Israel gives the highest salary to Nepalis, but also to Israelis. It's the same wage, same salary. Good human rights organizations, safe surroundings. So it's the best place to work up to 5 years and return and again do something for yourself individually, but also to the economy of Nepal. Israel would like also in the future to invest. There is a lot of money in Israel looking for investment opportunities. The very high representative from the American government who visited here said, we would like to see what incentives, what conditions are for the investors. Government of Israel as a democratic country cannot tell investor, you must go there. It is their business to see if they can do for the economy here, for the people of Nepal, but also for themselves. Not only one side. So we wait for clarification, and when the investors are satisfied in Israel, they will come here in number.
Israel's agriculture is one exemplary area which the globe so highly looks up to, right? And this has been one area which has really had a very, very important role in fostering people-to-people relation between Israel and Nepal, right? People, farmers, students,
yes,
they are equally enthusiastic, and we have some very milestone programs like Learn and Earn. And this is also a time when the government is so much emphasizing agriculture here in Nepal as well. Your Excellency, do you see this cooperation evolving from training individuals to building the institutional capacity within Nepal itself further?
Yes, I think that a lot of knowledge, Israeli knowledge, technological innovation knowledge is already here. And we have 5 or 4 agriculture academic centers where the Learn and Earn students go to learn 1 day and work 5 days. Many of them returned, or some of them, let's say, created a place called Arava on the name of a geographic place and a college name they went, Arava, Nepal. It is in Lamjung, it is in Dading, it is in Hetoda. There are people who teach young students, in agriculture students, to prepare them to go to Israel or to prepare them to do agriculture in Nepal. I think this is the place of the government of Nepal or other agencies to take a serious program, plan to take these people who have the knowledge and lead them to a school, a government school or private sector school. It is the decision of Nepal, not Israel, to have it available for as many farmers in Nepal as possible.
Israel happens to be one of the most popular work destinations for Nepalis for multiple reasons. For perks, as you said, on no discrimination in that, and there is culture, there's food, there's so many other factors. But there is one common concern at the moment, both for the aspirant work and then for the families of those who are already working there. You know, how Israel or the government is ensuring the safety and well-being of the Nepali workers currently stationed in Israel.
From the Gulf War, 1993, where, 1991, with Saddam Hussein shooting missiles from Iraq through Syria and other places to Israel, there is a law that every building, every construction has to have a safe room, more cement, in a way that it can resist bombs.
Is that bunkers, as they are called? Is it?
Bunker, in my eyes, is down the earth, very strongly defended. But we have in every home, every apartment, every house, every factory, every public area, there is a place that serves as safe room. And we have, apart from that, systems that can tell us when a missile was shot, so we have some time to alert the people to go to the safe room. So that's the reason why no Nepali worker was hit, was injured, even not a scratch. There were some incidents where people either did not have the strength to run for the safe room or were neglecting the instruction to go to safe room. But no Nepalis in these exceptions. So Israel is welcoming the agreement, the work agreement signed in 2020, under which there is one protocol of work in Israel. I submitted last year 2 more draft protocols for home-based caregiving and for workers in agriculture, not students, workers in agriculture. Soon we will, after the interim government of Nepal endorsed finally these draft protocols, we hope, Israeli side hope that the Nepali side will come to negotiation to finalize and start with new and many more opportunities of work. For the people, for the family, as I said, I have family in Israel. I have my mother of 91-year-old and 3 children, and we feel safe because the government of Israel cares about everybody, not only citizens, not only Jewish people, and about every foreigner and citizen that are in Israel.
Relations, as you see, between countries like Israel and Nepal are multi-layered and extended in various dimensions. There are areas where we have strong commitments and agreements. There are areas which lag. Right. So in this scenario, in a changing scenario of power dynamics, what expectations hold these 2 countries together or relations together?
I think each side should be understood well, the interest, the request, all the picture in it to be understood by the other side. That Israel will understand Nepal's interest and requests, but the same applies for the other. So that requires more negotiation between the representative of the 2 governments to come up with a plan of doing things for the interest of both countries.
And in a world which is becoming more uncertain, more interconnected, and at times very much divided, what would a truly mature Nepal-Israel partnership look like?
Yes. Israel would like to help Nepal progress, make a big progress, like Israel did in the first years. For that, we need a real partnership. But Israel really sees Nepal as a big potential with its tourism, with its natural resources, with its different climates and harmonious ethnic groups. I think Nepal has a lot of potential, and Israeli entrepreneurs would like to explore it once there is a highway in the relation between the two countries.
Thank you, Your Excellency,
Thank you very much
for coming over, sharing your very, very important thoughts, and most importantly, for your candor. Thank you indeed.
Thank you very much.
It is a delicate balance. For Nepal, Israel represents a window into high-tech modernity as it cherishes the age-old relationship. For Israel, Nepal remains a steadfast, sober voice in a region that has often been hostile. And we just heard the new reality in the Middle East will not only be written in the Middle East itself, but will be felt deeply here in Kathmandu as well. That's it from Geopod. Goodbye.
Music, dance, food, art and devotion are the lifeblood of Newar culture, an ancient civilization rooted in the Kathmandu Valley of Nepal. With lively festivals nearly every fortnight, the Newars celebrate life through a rich tapestry of traditions known as Jatra.
Mauritius is a small island in the heart of the Indian Ocean, where tourism is a major industry contributing significantly to the GDP of the island. Mauritius is home for 1.2 million of inhabitants, and today the country is targeting 2 million of tourism in the coming years, an economic opportunity as well as an environmental challenge for this tiny land.
Ce que nous faisons au niveau de la Tourism Authority, ça englobe dans la perspective du gouvernement, c'est d'aller vers une destination verte avec une certification reconnue d'ici 2030. Et nous sommes en train de travailler avec tous nos partenaires, avec les stakeholders de cette industrie. En termes d'emploi, donc nous comptons presque 30 000 emplois directs, mais si nous comptons au niveau aussi indirect, nous arrivons vers la barre des 100 000 personnes qui sont liées à ce secteur, qui est très prépondérant, mais aussi très importante pour la vie sociale, la vie culturelle de l'île Maurice. Donc il est vrai qu'il faut être prudent dans ce que nous recherchons. Nous ne voulons certainement pas avoir une destination avec une situation de surtourisme qui arrive dans beaucoup de pays, dans beaucoup de destinations, où à ce moment-là, il devient ingérable de pouvoir contrôler un flux où le côté management et le côté destination ne peut soutenir. Donc tout ce qui se fait au niveau de développement, même au niveau du nombre de touristes, on peut avoir les normes très valorisants, 2 millions, 3 millions, 4 millions, mais est-ce que cela va apporter un plus pour la destination? Ce qu'il faut comprendre et ce que nous essayons de passer comme message, c'est que le tourisme doit faire du bien à la destination avant et non pas l'inverse.
The hotel industry is a major player in the tourism sector, with more than 112 hotels around the island, amounting to more than 13,500 rooms. Thus, a sustainable tourism policy will shape the future of the industry.
Pour nous, aujourd'hui, nous créons un mouvement qui s'appelle le Positive Impact. L'idée hier, tout a commencé, la bonne attitude, il vient le premier hôtel éco-engagé du groupe Attitude. Nous avons envie de positionner cet hôtel-là différemment. Pourquoi? Parce que nous sommes très conscients qu'aujourd'hui, si nous ne prenons pas en compte l'environnement, les touristes ne peuvent pas venir dans nos pays. Donc, partout du monde pour voyager, sortir en Europe pour arriver à Maurice, et ensuite pour tout les déchets, les saletés, partout l'eau, la plage, dans la mer. Donc nous décidons pour mettre beaucoup de pledges en place, et le plus important pour nous, ça a été d'enlever tout ce qui est plastique à usage unique à la vue de nos clients. Par exemple, aujourd'hui, dans nos bandes la SAM, nous ne pas mettre du café d'ici parce qu'il vient dans un sachet plastique à usage unique. Nous venons avec un concept, une boutique en vrac, donc un bulk shop. Les clients rentrent dans le bulk shop, ils ont un petit pot en verre qui sont capables de remplir de café, de thé, de d'ici. Et nous, en même temps, ce qu'il nous fait en parallèle, nous prenons dans sa pot-là en bulk, nous avons un supplier. Toutes les chambres sont de gagner de l'eau à travers de l'eau chaude, à travers sa solar water panel. Nous offrons de la crème solaire à tous nos clients. Cette crème solaire, elle est fabriquée localement et avec des produits minéraux. Donc si vous servez la crème là ou dans l'océan, il ne pas abîme le monde marin. Nous avons d'autres actions aussi qui nous font, par exemple dans nos bulk shops, nous avons un filet bleu qui nous donne aux clients. Nous encourageons de prendre ça, de t'attacher ça avec le maillot. Je récupère tous les déchets que je trouvais dans l'océan, ramène-les ici, et ici quand je ramène, qui nous fait, nous séparons. Donc ce qui est capable d'être recyclé, nous envoyons les recycler. Ce qui n'est pas capable d'être recyclé, nous montrons comment nous sommes capables de faire dans nos éco-ateliers, comment nous sommes capables de faire une décoration avec. Donc beaucoup de clients peuvent venir aujourd'hui parce que de plus en plus, surtout en Europe ou même aux États-Unis, en Australie, les pays commencent à prendre de plus en plus d'ampleur d'être éco-engagés.
The hotel takes great pride in investing in a sustainable education and sensitization campaign to raise awareness and commitment from tourists as well as the local population.
Donc, ce centre-là, c'est un centre qui est ouvert au public. Donc, nous accueillons aussi bien les enfants et aussi les clients de l'hôtel. Et donc, qui nous fait dans ce centre-là? Donc, c'est un centre éducatif et interactif. Et nous sensibilise Bandimoun à l'environnement. Donc, nous sensibilisons pour protéger l'environnement marin et l'écosystème côtier également. Nous faisons une action concrète avec le client. Nous sensibilisons nos clients à la préservation de l'environnement. Qui action il a à faire liée à ce niveau pour qu'après, quand il aussi retourne dans ce pays, il a à continuer sa bonne action-là.
Nous avons quand même d'autres années. C'est vraiment un outil qui nous sert vraiment pour éducatif, pour montrer les participants qui viennent, les visiteurs qui viennent vers nous, comment ils ont été dehors quand on a fait le snorkeling ou comment ils nous trouvaient. Comment tout peut vivre ensemble, en symbiose, les poissons, les corail, comment ils vivent ensemble. Alors imaginez un coup, nous trouvons une bouteille plastique qui peut flotter là. Il n'est pas joli. Alors c'est pour ça qu'il nous a vraiment, qui garde tout bien propre.
On immerge un hydrophone en bas de l'eau. Un hydrophone, c'est quoi? C'est pour en fait enregistrer le chant des baleines. Donc ce sont les baleines à bosse principalement, et c'est les mâles qui chantaient pendant la période de reproduction, pour qu'ils nous gagnent l'information sur les baleines à bosse, sur la reproduction. et monte base de données d'un individu de tortue marine qui nous a Maurice. Donc ce sont des espèces migratrices et ce sont des espèces protégées. Vraiment une sorte éducative parce qu'il nous bien raise awareness avec nos clients pour que les clients prennent conscience de l'environnement et qu'il est important qu'il oui une ville dans une île, une ville à Maurice, mais nous avons un écosystème riche. Nous avons beaucoup de coraux, nous avons de poissons et qu'il forme partie, il y a un acteur dans sa mouvement Positive Impact.
The footprint of the tourists on the island will equally influence the ecological path that the industry will choose.
Alors c'est quelque chose qui se développe aussi chez nous. On essaie, nous, à notre domicile, d'être éco-responsable. Et effectivement, quand on va à l'étranger et en voyage comme ça, c'est agréable de trouver un endroit aussi où on retrouve ces valeurs-là, et même plus. Quand on fait des efforts chez nous, on se rend compte qu'à d'autres endroits, donc sur votre île aussi, vous faites aussi beaucoup d'efforts. Et c'est important de montrer ça, et c'est important pour les touristes de respecter ça aussi. Je pense que les touristes, à l'avenir, feront de plus en plus attention aux endroits où ils vont et à la pollution.
To improve the sustainable commitment of the tourism industry, the Tourism Authority in Mauritius has launched on a yearly basis a Sustainable Tourism Award, which highlights and encourages best sustainable practices in all sectors of the industry.
Nous avons démarré le premier Sustainable Tourism Mauritius Awards qui récompense l'effort qui a été fait par ces opérateurs-là justement pour aller dans la direction du tourisme durable. Et je dois dire que ça a été un succès parce que l'année dernière, on a eu 115 participants, démontrer la volonté de presque la majorité des opérateurs touristiques mauriciens d'aller vers cet objectif de tourisme durable. Et je dois aussi préciser que le tourisme durable, ça ne concerne pas uniquement les opérateurs touristiques, ça concerne aussi la population.
Mauritius is aiming to secure a sustainable tourism certification, which will confirm the island's commitment towards sustainability. The first step towards that certification starts in a small village in the south, Belle-Ombre.
Nous voulons que la destination Maurice soit certifiée d'ici 2030, certifiée par la GEST ici, la Global Sustainable Tourism Council. Alors, la région de Belle-Ombre nous sert comme cas pilote, donc pour faire cette certification de la destination. Et nous voulons apprendre de Belle-Ombre, de ce qu'ils sont en train de faire de bien.
A sustainable approach in the tourism sector requires a sincere partnership between the various stakeholders, from the major players to the small villagers. Each one should work hand in hand to promote, engage, and also share the benefits derived from the industry.
On reste dans le village Saint-Martin, Belle-Ombre, petit village côtier, pêcheur et laboureur. Actuellement, on a 5 hôtels et beaucoup de monde pour gagner du travail, surtout les jeunes. Et donc, du monde qui fait des petits entrepreneurs, qui fait tout ça, aide-nous. En fait, les bizarres win, aussi bizarres gagnants dans ces affaires-là. Moi, nous apportons dans ces affaires-là, il y a des petits restos, des gens qui font des manger tropical, des petits manger PC. Oui, mais ça marche bien, ça marche bien.
Today, the world is an island, and the sustainable tourism development of one region will, in the long run, share lights of sunshine to one and all.
Nous la casse, nous îles, nous la mer, nous les ciels, la nature qui entoure nous, reflète couleur nous les cœurs, ça même richesse qui nous vise à préserver pour continuer à exister, ça même richesse nous vise à préserver.
Welcome to the Hinterlands on NTV World. This weekly show brings together stories from the hinterlands of Nepal, takes you beyond the cities and highways into the heart of Nepal's rural landscapes. I am Rosina Rai. We begin in Bardia district, where cotton was once more than just a crop. Known as the district white gold, cotton once covered hundreds of hectares, turning fields into stretches of snow-white blooms. But today, these fields are almost disappeared. What happened to Bardia's cotton, and why are farmers turning away from a crop that once defined the district? More in this report.
The white gold of Bardia is turning to stubble, where cotton once stretched across hundreds of hectares of committee land. The crops now stand in its place, and with them a century-old identity is fading field by field. Cotton cultivation was once one of the defining identities of Bardia. Hundreds of sharecropping farmers made their living cultivating cotton on land belonging to the Cotton Development Committee. Today, that same land is increasingly planted with other crops. Farmers say cotton farming demands heavy labor. Pest infestation is high in areas surrounded by forest, and the income no longer matches the cost of production, and labor making cotton, once profitable, increasingly unviable. The link between farmers and the committee itself was also broken, its physical infrastructure destroyed during the armed conflict and never fully rebuilt.
कपाल विकास समितिसित जोइन थियौं त्यति वर्षसम्म त्यहाँसम्म करारको हिसाबले जे जति तिर्नु पर्थ्यो सरकारलाई त्यो तिरिराखेको थियो अनि दण्डकालमा यो भौतिक संरचनासम्म ध्वस्त भइसकेपछि कपाल विकास समितिको र किसानहरूको सम्बन्ध विच्छेद भयो त्यो विच्छेद पश्चात हामी किसानहरू यो जग्गाको संरक्षण गर्दै खेती गरिराछौं
यो कपास विकासको जग्गामा 2 बिघा 2045 सालदेखि म जोड्दैछु छु.
Sharecropping farmers who have traditionally grown cotton continue to occupy and cultivate committee land. In some areas, landless quarters and unorganized settlers have also moved onto the land. According to Bir Bahadur Tharu, ward chairperson of Bhadaiyatal Rural Municipality 9, applications have been registered under landless Dalit, landless quarter and unorganized settler categories based on possession and cultivation. Land measurement and mapping certificates have already been distributed.
उहाँहरूलाई यो ठाउँमा जग्गा जुन जोड्नु भएको छ त्यो जोटेको आधारले नेपाल सरकारले खोलेको भूमिहीन सुकुम्बासी अव्यवस्थित बसोबासी र दलित भूमिहीन सुकुम्बासी भनेर जुन 3 प्रकारको सूचना खोलेको थियो त्यस मध्येमा उहाँहरूले अव्यवस्थित र भूमिहीन सुकुम्बासी र भूमिहीन दलित भनेर भर्नु भएको छ. त्यो मध्येमा हामी चाहिँ निवेदनको ढाँचा अनुरूप निस्सा प्रमाण चाहिँ हामीले उहाँहरूलाई वितरण गरेका छौं र त्यो जग्गा हालसम्म नै अहिलेसम्म किसान शेरजोताहरूकै परिवारले चाहिँ जोडभोग गरिराखेको छ.
Committee land has been encroached upon under various pretexts. Around 558 hectares of land at the cotton farm in Kumbhar, spanning Barwadia Municipality 10 and Bhadaiyatal Rural Municipality 9, was encroached upon in 2001-2002 AD. Of that land, the government has already distributed 93.7 hectares to freed Kamayas. The Cotton Development Committee says its land is spread across 3 local levels in Bardia, but encroachment combined with the prolonged failure to cultivate cotton is steadily eroding the farm's original purpose. The numbers tells their own story. The committee once recorded 378 sharecropping farmers. That number has now crossed 1,700, even as the crop they were meant to grow keeps disappearing from the ground beneath them. More farmers, less cotton. What was once Bardia's defining crop now risks becoming nothing more than a line in its history books.
From a renowned agribusiness that slowly faded away from Bardia district to one attempting to make a comeback. After nearly 25 years of closure, the state-owned Hetora textile industry has resumed trial production. Now the government is testing whether this once important industry can be commercially revived and how much it can actually produce. The Hetera textile industry has resumed trial production, raising hopes for the revival of the long-closed state-owned factory. A team from the Nepal Army's Directorate of Production has repaired and tested the machinery at the industry and begun trial operations. According to the Ministry of Industry, Commerce and Supplies, initial tests have confirmed that the machines are operational and that the industry has the potential to resume production. The government plans to operate 10 machines in the first phase. Some machines have already been brought into operation, while others are undergoing repairs and calibration. Once the trial production is completed, the Nepal Army will submit a detailed report to the government. The report will assess the total output during the trial, the conditions of the machinery, and the feasibility of operating the industry on a commercial basis. Based on the report, the government will decide how and at what capacity the industry should be brought back into operation. Officials say preparations are also underway for a formal inauguration once all the machines are fully operational. At full capacity, the industry could produce around 28,000 meters of fabric a day. The monsoon means greenery, fresh crops, and relief from the summer heat. But for people living along the river banks, it can mean something very different and heartbreaking as well. In Susta of West Nawalparasi, the Narayani River returns every monsoon with a familiar threat. Once again, residents are spending days and nights building temporary embankments and settlements, trying to hold back the river and protect what is theirs. A report.
The Narayani River has been rapidly eroding the banks of Susta in southern Nepal for years, and the story is no different this monsoon as well. The continuous encroachment of the banks has pushed the human settlement at growing risk, and the locals are working day and night to hold back the floodwaters. Susta lies in West Nawalparasi district of Lumbini province, along the stretch of Narayani River that forms part of the boundary between Nepal and India. About a week ago, as swollen Narayani began moving toward the settlement, men and women from the community have been working almost continuously to build a temporary barrier against the river in the most vulnerable sections. Locals from the Save Susta campaign have also been filling sacks with soil and reinforcing the temporary barrier, but remain uncertain whether it will hold if the river continues to rise.
जनता खट रहा है, वो बहुत लोग गरीब आदमी है, भूखे मर रहे हैं, बाकी अब बचाएं कि अब खाना कैसे करें। आप आपके सामने है, देख ही रहे हैं कि कैसे बचेगा सुस्ता, कैसे नहीं बचेगा, वो ही हम लोग लागे हुए हैं।
The urgency is linked to an embankment project that remains only partially complete. Earlier this year, Nepal's federal government committed more than 110 million rupees to build permanent flood protection along the most vulnerable sections of Susta after identifying the settlement as being at serious risk. While one section of the embankment has been completed, work on another critical stretch stalled after the contract was awarded, amid objections raised by the Indian side of the border. The Narayani River is now eroding the land most severely at this unfinished section, raising concerns among residents about further damage. After 4 days of working on their own to build a temporary embankment, local residents have now been joined by security personnel and all three levels of government in the effort.
132 मिटरको अर्को ठेक्का भएर पनि भारतीय फौजको अरूले त्यो काम गर्न नसक्दा त्यही ठाउँबाट अहिले पुरै नदी हाम्रो नदीको धार नै आएपछि यो भूमि कटानको उच्च जोखिममा छ। मलाई खुसी के लाग्छ, म हिजोदेखिको राज्यको जुन यहाँ उपस्थिति देखेको छु, अहिले सुस्तावासीको दुखमा पुरै राज्यको हरेक शक्ति हरेक निकायहरु लागेको छ। केन्द्रबाट अघि भएर विभागबाट त्यो मन्त्रीजीको निर्देशन भएर हाम्रो सिँचाइ मन्त्रीको निर्देशन भएर डिडिजी आएर यहाँ एकचोटि अनुगमन निरीक्षण गरेर गइसक्नु भयो र केही काम गर्ने निर्देशन दिइसक्नु भयो.
Federal and provincial government agencies are also continuing to assist local residents with river control efforts.
आज मात्र हामीले हाम्रो कार्यालयमा यहाँ हाम्रो फोकल पर्सन जयसवालजीले चाहिँ गाडी पठाइसक्नु भएको छ र 100 थान ग्याबिन जाली र 3000 थान बोरा हिजो हामीले ल्याइसकेका छौँ.
यहाँबाट पानी कटान भएर पानी यता पस्न नदिन यो गाउँ बचाउनको लागि चाहिँ के गर्न सकिन्छ भनेर हामी अब सबै हाम्रो सङ्घीय सरकार मार्फत हाम्रो आयोजनाले अब इमर्जेन्सीको लागि यो बोराहरू यो जालीहरू चाहिँ उ गर्ने हैन भर्ने यहाँ लडाउने रुखहरू काटेर अगाडि राख्ने अब हामीसँग भएको पर्को पानीहरू पनि हामीले अगाडि राखेर चाहिँ हामीले नदीको फ्लोलाई चाहिँ डाइभर्ट गर्ने प्रयास चाहिँ हामीले निरन्तर गरिरहेका छौँ.
Despite all these efforts, residents know that the temporary embankment can only provide limited protection and is not a substitute for the permanent structure that they have been waiting for.
From living alongside a powerful force of nature to celebrating our connections with wildlife, this is the story of Nepal's hinterlands. Have you ever heard of an elephant picnic? In Sauraha, Chitwan, elephants take center stage during an annual festival held to mark World Elephant Day. The event is more than a celebration. It is a reminder of the need to protect forest, conserve elephants, and build a better relationship between people and wildlife. The 15th World Elephant Day has been marked in Sauraha of Chitwan with a special feast for elephants. The annual event aims to promote human-wildlife harmony, protect forest and raise awareness about elephant conservation. It also highlights the important role elephants play in promoting tourism in Chitwan. As part of the celebration, dozens of captive and wild elephants were served their favorite foods, including sugarcane, pumpkin, rice, and fruits. Nepal is home to two major populations of Asian elephants. The eastern population ranges from Chapa to Chitwan, while the western population extends from Kapilvastu to Kanchanpur. The country is estimated to have around 230 wild elephants, a population that has gradually increased despite ongoing conservation and management challenges.
चितवन राष्ट्रिय निकुञ्जले हात्तीको कल्याणको लागि चाहिँ काम गर्छ. चितवन राष्ट्रिय निकुञ्ज हात्तीहरू धेरै भएको चाहिँ मालिक भएको हुनाले हामीसँग चाहिँ 30वटा भाले हात्ती र 26वटा पोथी हात्ती छन्. चितवन राष्ट्रिय निकुञ्जले त पर्यापर्यटन भन्दा पनि यहाँहरुको पर्यापर्यटन छ. हामीले त संरक्षणको हरेक क्रियाकलापमा चाहिँ हात्तीको प्रयोग गर्नुपर्ने हुन्छ. त्यो भएको हुनाले सरकारी हात्ती र चाहिँ प्राइभेट निजी रूपमा चाहिँ पालिएका क्याप्टिभ एलिफेन्टहरुको चाहिँ उचित व्यवस्थापन गर्नुपर्ने हुन्छ र यसको लागि चाहिँ चितवन राष्ट्रिय निकुञ्ज पनि तत्त्वचित्त भएर.
Around 100 elephants are also kept in captivity across the country under both government and private management. Chitwan National Park alone has 58 captive elephants, including 45 in Sauraha. Meanwhile, around 150 wild elephants regularly move across the Nepal-India border, highlighting the importance of transboundary conservation efforts. Nepal's elephant conservation efforts are guided by the Elephant Conservation Action Plan for the year 2025-35, legal protections under the National Parks and Wildlife Conservation Act, and community-based initiatives aimed at promoting human-elephant coexistence. Nepal also works closely with India on transboundary conservation, promotes community-based forestry, and enforces anti-poaching measures while improving the welfare and management of captive elephants used in protected areas. And finally, we head to the highlands of eastern Nepal. Here, a rare flower is turning the landscape around Thimbung Lake into a striking natural canvas. The seasonal blooming of the Kenzo flower has attracted visitors to Pastor, eager to witness this rare alpine beauty. For a short time each year, the hills come alive with color and Timbung Lake becomes a destination for nature lovers. Tourists are flocking to Timbung Lake in eastern Nepal to witness the spectacular bloom of a rare alpine plant, Kenzo, locally known as Padamchal, also known as the Himalayan May apple. Reaching Timbung Lake requires nearly 3 days of trekking through rugged high mountain trails. But the challenging journey has not discouraged visitors, as the seasonal bloom of Kenzo has emerged as one of the area's major attractions. During the blooming season, the flowers carpet the surrounding hillsides, adding to the beauty of the high-altitude landscape. Visitors are drawn not only by the blossoms, but also by the pristine environment, panoramic mountain views, and the scenic beauty of Timbung Lake. Kenzo is a medicinal herb found in Nepal's high-altitude regions and is valued for its medicinal properties.
पहेँलो लामो लामो ठुलो जरा हुन्छ यो चिन्न सकिन्छ अरु औषधिमा यो सबैभन्दा ठुलो मोटो यसको जरा हुन्छ यसको हामीले अब जानेसम्मको चाहिँ यो जिउ दुख्ने ग्यास्ट्रिक हुनेलाई कोही लडेको सड्के मड्केकोलाई पनि काम लाग्छ यो.
The plant generally begins flowering in mid-July, reaching full bloom by late July and early August. The white blossoms are spread across alpine meadows and hillsides during the monsoon season, creating a striking natural spectacle. For visitors, it offers a rare opportunity to experience the Himalayan landscape at its most beauty. The growing interest in Timbung Lake brings the prospect of new economic opportunities through tourism as well. Situated at an altitude of 4,200 meters above sea level, Timbung Lake is known for both its natural beauty and religious significance. With the tourist numbers growing, local communities see considerable potential to develop the area as a destination for nature-based and adventure tourism. But as more visitors arrive to witness the natural spectacle, the challenge is to balance tourism development with the conservation of the fragile Himalayan environment.
पर्यटकहरु जाने गर्ने त्यो केन्जर उखेल्ने कामहरु भइराखेका छन् हैन त्यसमा चाहिँ अलिकति अब हामीले मात्र वडा र गाउँपालिकाले मात्र हेरेर साध्य पनि नहुने जस्तो छन् अब कार्यक्रम चाहिँ त्यहाँनिर चाहिँ जडीबुटी संरक्षण गर्नुको लागि चाहिँ विभिन्न निकायहरु नै अगाडि बढ्दा चाहिँ त्यहाँ संरक्षण गर्न सकिन्थ्यो कि.
If managed sustainably, Timbung Lake could emerge as one of eastern Nepal's promising high-altitude tourism destinations. Disappearing crops to industry making a comeback, communities fighting for the river, and landscape blooming with rare alpine beauty. These are the stories from Nepal's hinterlands. Thank you for joining us. Do follow us on our website nepaltelevision.com, social media handles, and the YouTube channel. Goodbye for now. सिमरौनगढ दरबार खुल्ला इतिहास, कला र संस्कृतिको एउटा संग्रहालय। इतिहास, सभ्यता र कलाको रहस्य बोकेको सहर सिमरौनगढ। एउटा छुट्टै इतिहास रच्न सफल सहर सिमरौनगढ। ऐतिहासिक, सांस्कृतिक र पुरातात्विक महत्व बोकेको सिमरौनगढ दरबार मध्य प्रदेशको बारा जिल्लामा अवस्थित सिमरौनगढ नगरपालिकामा पर्दछ। बारा जिल्लाको सदरमुकाम कलैयाबाट 20 किलोमिटर दक्षिण पूर्वमा रहेको सिमरौनगढ नगरपालिकाको कार्यालयबाट करिब 500 मिटर दक्षिण पश्चिम गएपछि सिमरौनगढ दरबार पुग्न सकिन्छ। सिमरौनगढको सम्बन्ध सिम्बलको वंशसँग रहेको तथ्य नेपालमा प्राप्त सबभन्दा पुरानो वंशावली गोपालर वंशावलीले प्रस्ट्याएको छ। सो वंशावलीमा यस स्थललाई सिमरावनगढ भनी उल्लेख छ, जसको अर्थ हुन्छ सिमलको वनमा रहेको किल्ला। सिमलको वन रहेको यो क्षेत्र सिमरावनगढबाट अपभ्रंश हुँदै सिमरौनगढ भएको मान्यता छ।
यो सिमरौनगढ नाउँ भने यहाँ पहिले सिम्बलको खाली रुख यहाँ सिम्बलको थियो। यो सिम्बलको वन भन्नु पर्यो नि, यहाँ सिम्बलको वन थियो पहिले। यसको माझमा बीचमा नि यो गढ थियो, किला थियो यो गढ। त्यस कारणले सिम्बलगढ भनेर अपभ्रंश भई आएर सिमरौनगढ भन्ने हो। यसको सिमरौनगढको सिम्बलगढको अपभ्रंश हो यो सिमरौनगढ।
कुनै समय एक सुरक्षित र सम्पन्न राजधानी रहेको सिमरौनगढ दरबारलाई बलिया अग्ला चक्रव्यूह आकारका पर्खालले घेरिएको थियो। तत्कालीन राजा वीरेन्द्रबाट यस क्षेत्रको अवलोकन पश्चात पुरातत्व विभाग र इटालियन सरकारको तत्वावधानमा सिमरौनगढको उत्खनन गरियो। उत्खननका क्रममा कर्णाट कालका पुरातात्विक, धार्मिक, सांस्कृतिक अवशेषहरू फेला पर्यो। सिमरौनगढका पुराना अवशेषहरू आज पनि यत्रतत्र पाइन्छ। यहाँ डढेको चामल, माटोका भाँडा बर्तन, गरगहनाहरू पाइन्छ।
यहाँको धार्मिक इतिहास र पुरातत्व विभागको त सबै संरचना छँदैछ। यो मन्दिर छ, पुरानो मूर्ति छ, दहीको चावल पाइन्छ, कङ्गन कालीको स्थान छ, तलेजु भवानीको अहिले शिलाको बाकस राखेको छ, त्यो पनि छँदैछ। चारैतिर सुन बिखरेको पनि पाइन्छ। यो सबै पाइँदाखेरि त पुरातत्व भएन।
यस क्षेत्रको कचरवा गाउँमा माकराकृतिको टुटी भएको धारो, हरिपुर गाविसमा रहेको ढुङ्गाको बाकस निकै रहस्यमय छ। जति खन्दै जाँदा झन भित्र भासिनु यस बाकसको विशेषता हो। अत्यन्त कलात्मक रहेको यो बाकसको बाहिरी भाग मात्रै देखिन्छ, बाँकी भाग जमिनमा गाडिएको छ। स्थानीयले यसलाई बाकस, तिजोरी, सन्दुक भने पनि वास्तवमा यो के हो अहिलेसम्म पत्ता लाग्न सकेको छैन।
वो जमाना के शिवाजी महाराज के दरबार के तिजरी है, पत्थर हो, राज उल्टन हो गए, पत्थर हो गए, ताला कुली सब बंद बा में, ताला बा सब सहित बा।
बाकसको नजिकै खम्बा आकारको कालो ढुङ्गा छ। खम्बा सामान्य देखिए पनि 10-15 जना मिलेर पनि यसलाई टसमस समेत गर्न सक्दैनन्। ढुङ्गाको खम्बा झन रहस्यमय छ। स्थानीयका अनुसार यस खम्बालाई बाहिर निकाल्न खोज्दा यो झन जमिनमा भासिने गर्दछ। यो क्षेत्रमा बाढी आए पनि यो खम्बा डुब्दैन। यस प्रकार सिमरनगढ क्षेत्र पुरातात्विक दृष्टिकोणले समेत महत्त्वपूर्ण छ। सिमरनगढको सांस्कृतिक सम्पदाको दोस्रो स्थानमा यहाँका मन्दिरहरूलाई लिन सकिन्छ। सिमरनगढको बीच भागमा स्थापना गरिएको कंकाली मन्दिर ईटद्वारा निर्माण गरिएको शिखर शैलीमा छ। मन्दिर चारैतिर चतुष्कोणाकारको भवनको बीचमा शिखर उठेर माथिसम्म चुलिएको छ। मन्दिरको चारैतिर खुल्ला गुम्बजाकारको प्रवेशद्वार निर्माण गरिएको छ। मन्दिरमा रहेका कंकालीको मूर्ति कालो प्रस्तरमा खोदिएको छ। मूर्तिको गोलाकार अनुहार, ठूला आँखा, पुष्ट छातीले त्यस बेलाको विशेषतालाई दर्शाउँछ। देवीको गालामा हार, कानमा गोलाकार कुण्डल, कम्मरमा हार जडेको च्याप्टो पेटी छ। शान्त सौम्य मुद्रामा रहेको यो मूर्तिले कलामा छुट्टै स्थान ओगटेको छ।
यो सिमरनगढ भनेको कंकाली स्थान जो कि दुनियाँको सबभन्दा शक्तिपीठ राम्रो जहाँ बलि नै चढ्दैन। यो फेरि कंकालीमा सबै शक्तिपीठमा बलि चढ्छ तर कंकालीमा स्थानमा बलि चढ्दैन। त्यस्तो विशाल मन्दिर अनि यस्तो विशाल मन्दिर राम जानकीको मन्दिर यहाँ दुईटा छ। अनि यसको अलावा पनि यहाँ नानदेवले यानी कि 1097 ईस्वीमा सिमरनगढलाई राजधानी बनाएको यो नानदेव हो। नानदेवको 7औं पुस्ता जगह त्यसमा हरसिंहदेव, गङदेव, रामदेव सबै 7औं पुस्ता हो। अन्तिम पुस्ता चाहिँ हरसिंहदेव हो। हरसिंहदेवको पालामा ग्यासुद्दिन तुगलकले यहाँ आक्रमण गरेर सबै ध्वस्त पारिदिएको थियो। यस्तो पूर्वाधारहरू छ। तैपनि हाम्रो सिमरनगढमा कसैको नजर छैन। यहाँ त म भन्छु कि यसलाई विश्व सम्पदा सूचीमा राख्यो भने सबभन्दा राम्रो हुन्छ। यहाँको नेताहरूले यसै माध्यममा भन्छु कि सिमरनगढलाई विश्व सम्पदा सूचीमा राख्नु जरुरी छ।
यहाँ रामनवमीको दिन ठूलो मेला लाग्ने गर्दछ। सामान्य रूपमा भक्तजनहरू आउने क्रम दिनहुँ नै रहन्छ। अहिले पनि यो क्षेत्रमा कंकाली माताको ठूलो महिमा छ भनिन्छ। त्यसै गरी चिताएको फल देवीले पूरा गर्छिन् भन्ने जनविश्वास समेत रहेको छ।
पहिलादेखि अहिले यो सालमा धेरै पर्यटक म 2-4वटा यो कामको सिलसिलामा बसेको थियो। शनिबारको दिनौँ 1000 देखि 1500 मान्छे बाहिरबाट आउँछ। अब त्यसको लागि पनि हामी व्यवस्थापन गरिराखेका छौँ। त्यहाँ एउटा पूजा अर्चना गर्नको लागि बेलुका बिहानै आरती, जस्तै हरिद्वारमा तपाईँ गयो सक्नु होला भने हेर्नु होला, बिहानै र बेलुका गङ्गाको आरती हुन्छ। त्यहाँ पनि कंकाली मन्दिरमा हामी आरतीको एउटा छिटै व्यवस्था गर्छौँ। अहिले त 2टा बोट पनि राखेका छौँ। मान्छेहरू पर्यटक आउँछ भने त्यसलाई घुम्नको लागि, त्यो पानीमा विहार गर्नको लागि, राम्रो वातावरणको लागि आउँदो दिनमा एउटा स्टिमर किनेर त्यहाँ राख्ने हामी पनि प्लानिङ गरेका छौँ।
कंकाली मन्दिर प्राङ्गणमा विभिन्न देवी देवताका अन्य मन्दिरहरू पनि रहेका छन्। प्राङ्गणमा रहेका मानसाराम बाबाको मन्दिर 3 मिटर उचाइ र 5.47 मिटरको चतुर्कोणाकारमा निर्माण गरिएको छ। मन्दिरभित्र मानसाराम बाबाको समाधि स्थल छ। समाधि अगाडि एक जोर खराउ छ, जसलाई मानसा बाबाको खराउ भनी पूजा गरिन्छ। प्राङ्गणमा शिव, पार्वती, हनुमान, विष्णु, विश्वकर्माको मन्दिर रहेका छन्।
कंकाली मन्दिर त धेरै पुरानो इतिहास बोकेको मन्दिर हो। त्यो मन्दिरको प्राङ्गणमा तपाईको कंकाली मन्दिर, मनसा बाबा मन्दिर, तपाईको विष्णु मन्दिर, तपाईको यो धेरै मन्दिरहरू छन्।
कंकाली मन्दिरदेखि करिब 1.5 माइलको पश्चिम दूरीमा रहेको छ रानीवास, जहाँ राम जानकीको मन्दिर छ। जङ्गबहादुर राणाका छोरा दिजङले विक्रम सम्मत 1935मा आमा हिरण्य कुमारी सती जाने बेलामा व्यक्त गरेको इच्छा बमोजिम यो मन्दिरको निर्माण भएको थियो, जुन यहाँको घण्टामा समेत उल्लेख छ। मूल मन्दिर भने 3 तहको पेटीमाथि बनेको छ। मन्दिरभित्र राम, सीता र लक्ष्मणका धातुका प्रतिमाहरू प्रतिष्ठापित छन्। अगाडि जङ्गबहादुर, हिरण्य कुमारी लगायत परिवारका सदस्यहरूको प्रतिमा रहेका छन्।
पहिला 2224 को बेलादेखि यहाँ राजा शिवसिंहको पालीमा यो राम जानकी मन्दिर थियो र त्यसपछि नानदेवजी पनि आउनुभयो, त्यो उहाँको पालीमा पनि यहाँ राम जानकी मन्दिर र हाम्रो जङ्गबहादुर महाराजज्यू 1838 मा आएर हेभन्दा 9 हात अग्लो मन्दिर काठको नै बनाउनु भयो। त्यो प्रमाणै छ, आजसम्म इटमा लेखेर राखेको छ। र त्यसपछि 1935 मा हाम्रो जङ्गबहादुरको कान्छो छोरो जितजाङ भनेर उहाँले नै बनाउनु भएको छ। उहाँको शिला यो जङ्गबहादुर महाराजको, उहाँको पत्नी, 2टा छोरी र एउटा कान्छो छोरो।
जङ्गबहादुर राणा जङ्गबहादुर पहिले यहाँ शिकार खेल्न आउनुहुन्थ्यो। और शिकार खेल्दा खेल्दै यहाँ एउटा बासको रूपमा चाहिँ शिकार खेल्ने, यहाँ बास बस्ने, अनि फेरि जाने, फेरि स्पेन बास बस्ने, शिकार खेल्ने। अब यहाँबाट जाँदाखेरि पत्रहट्टामा उहाँको मृत्यु भयो जङ्गबहादुरको। अनि यो छोरो थियो जगतजङ। अब त्यसको बुवाको नाउँमा पनि यो मन्दिर निर्माण गरिदियो। यो मन्दिर विशाल मन्दिर त्यो उनको छोरोले बनायो।
मन्दिरको प्राङ्गण वरिपरि 2 तलामा चतुष्कोणाकारका धर्मशाला बनेका छन्। मन्दिर निर्माणमा त्यहाँका भग्नावशेषहरू प्रयोग भएको छ। समय समयमा प्राप्त भएको मूर्तिले सिमरनगढको महत्वलाई झन बढाएको छ। यहाँका मूर्तिकलाका रचनाहरूले सिमरनगढको सांस्कृतिक समृद्धिलाई पुष्टि गर्दछ। यहाँको मूर्तिकलाले आर्थिक रूपले समृद्ध यो राज्यमा कला र साहित्यले भरपूर उन्नति गर्ने मौका पाएको स्पष्ट हुन्छ। केही वर्ष अगाडि पुरातत्व विभागको सक्रियतामा कंकाली मन्दिर परिसरका मूर्तिहरूलाई मन्दिर परिसरमै घर बनाई संग्रहित गरिएको छ। त्यसै गरी सिमरनगढका केही मूर्ति र दरबारका अवशेषलाई राष्ट्रिय संग्रहालय छाउनीमा संग्रहित गरिएको छ। सिमरनगढको तोरणद्वारको टुक्रा संग्रहालयको भित्री गेटमै राखिएको छ। यस क्षेत्रमा अनेकन पोखरी र इनारहरू रहेका छन्, जसमध्ये इसरा, झरौखरा, राजाबादा, मनहरवा, आमवा, हथाइया प्रमुख छन्। इसारा पोखरी कंकाली मन्दिरको अगाडि छ। यो पोखरीको नाम राजा शिवसिंहकी रानी इसाराको नामबाट राखिएको छ। रानीवास मन्दिरको 1 किलोमिटर दूरीमा दक्षिणतर्फ खजहनी गाउँ छ। कर्नाट वंशी राजाहरूले खजाना राख्ने ठाउँ भएकाले यस ठाउँको नाम खजहनी भएको जनविश्वास छ। सो ठाउँमा अहिले पनि खेत, कुलो, माछा पोखरी खन्ने क्रममा पुरातात्विक वस्तु तथा मूर्ति भेट्न सकिन्छ। शान्ति, ऐश्वर्य र करुणाले धपक्क बलेको अलौकिक भाव र मुस्कानयुक्त चिल्ला काला ढुङ्गामा कुँदिएका मूर्तिहरूले यहाँको कलाको स्वतन्त्र र मौलिक शैलीलाई प्रस्तुत गर्दछ। मूर्तिमा पाइने आवरण र आभूषणले त छन् भक्ति रस र सौन्दर्य रस प्रदान गराउन सफल छ। मूर्तिहरूमा भाव अभिव्यक्तिको जुन मार्मिकता प्रदर्शित छ त्यसको जति प्रशंसा गरे पनि पूर्ण हुँदैन। अथाह पर्यटकीय सम्भावना बोकेको ऐतिहासिक र धार्मिक धरोहर सिम्रौनगढ दरबारसम्म पुग्नका लागि जनप्रतिनिधिहरू निर्वाचित भएर आएसँगै बाटोको सहज व्यवस्था भएको छ। सडक सुविधाका लागि नगरले पहल गरेसँगै आगन्तुकलाई केही सहज भएको छ।
मन्दिरको फुटपाथ निर्माण गरिराखेका छ। मन्दिरको फुटपाथ निर्माणमा तपाईको ब्लक लगाएर त्यो सौन्दर्यीकरण मन्दिरको भविष्य बाहिरबाट जुन पर्यटक आउँछ त्यो राम्रो कसरी हेर्न सकिन्छ, त्यसको आउने जाने केही कठिनाइ हुँदैन। त्यहाँ बस्नको लागि आउने जाने हेर्नको लागि त्यो कंकाली मन्दिरमा गरिराखेका छ।
सिम्रौनगढका बारेमा अहिलेसम्म स्वदेशी र विदेशी पुरातत्वविदद्वारा धेरै अनुसन्धान भएका छन्। यी अनुसन्धानहरूले सिम्रौनगढ कुनै बेला दक्षिण एसियाका समुन्नत राज्यहरू मध्येको एक राज्य तिरहुतको राजधानी रहेको प्रमाणित भइसकेको छ। तर उत्खनन हुन बाँकी नै रहेकाले तत्कालीन राजधानी सिम्रौनगढका राजाहरूले राखेका आधिकारिक अभिलेख फेला पर्न सकेका छैनन्। तर उनीहरूका पालामा बनेका पोखरी, मूर्ति, कंकालिनी मन्दिर, रानीवास दरबार लगायतका सामग्रीहरू अहिले पनि साक्षीको रूपमा रहेका छन्। यहाँ टाढा टाढाबाट बास बस्न आउने पर्यटकहरूका लागि भने राम्रो होटल अथवा आवास गृहको अभाव छ। सुविधा सम्पन्न होटल, होमस्टे निर्माणका लागि सिम्रौनगढ उद्योग वाणिज्य संघले आवश्यक पहल गरिरहेको छ।
त्यो बस्नको लागि त अहिले तत्काल 2वटा होटल छ, अरू पनि बनाउनको लागि सोचिरहेछ। यहाँको व्यापारीहरूले बनाउँछ भविष्यमा पनि। अनि यहाँ एउटा के छ हजुर कि हाम्रो सिम्रौनगढमा भारतबाट मेन आउने चाहिँ भारतबाट नै हो बढी पर्यटक। त्यसको लागि पहिला यहाँ छोटी भन्सार थिएन, भर्खर हामी यो 1 महिना जति पहिला सञ्चालन गराएछौँ। तर सरकारसँग पनि पहल गरेका छौँ कि कम्तीमा यहाँ मूल भन्सार होस्। मूल भन्सार भइदिएको भए गाडीको आवत जावत अनि चाहिँ इन्ट्री गरेर होस् या भन्सार गरेर होस्, त्यो हिसाबले पनि यहाँ आउँछ। सरकारले पनि राजस्व उठ्छ त्यसबाट, अनि देशको आम्दानी पुँजी हुन्छ, हाम्रो सिम्रौनगढको पनि विकास हुन्छ, अनि पर्यटकहरू पनि बढी यहाँ आवत जावत गर्छ।
यस क्षेत्रको संरक्षण र प्रवर्धनका निम्ति बृहत योजनाको आवश्यकता देखिन्छ। कला संस्कृतिको अंकुत भण्डारको रूपमा रहेको यस क्षेत्रको उत्खनन र न्यायोचित मूल्याङ्कन नगरिएसम्म नेपालको कलाकृतिको इतिहासको खोजी अधुरो नै रहने प्रश्न छ, जसका लागि गुठी संस्थान, पुरातत्व विभाग जस्ता निकायहरूको भूमिका महत्त्वपूर्ण रहन सक्छ।
सिम्रौनगढ उद्योग वाणिज्य संघबाट पनि यसमा देशमा अनि पर्यटक मन्त्रालयमा पनि हामी पठाएछौँ कि यहाँ जसरी भए पनि यहाँको पहिला हाम्रो सिम्रौनगढमा सबै सम्पदा छँदैछ, तर तिनीहरू लोप हुँदैछ। त्यसको लागि हामी पर्यटक मन्त्रालयमा, अर्थ मन्त्रालयमा पटक पटक बारम्बार चाहिँ हामी आफ्नो लिखित रूपमा पत्रहरू पठाएछौँ कि सरकारबाट पहल होस्, यसलाई जसरी जे जस्तो छ त्यसले व्यवस्थित गरोस् अनि राम्रो हेर्न भइदिएको भए पर्यटकहरू त्यहाँ आफै आउँछ नि। त्यसको लागि हामी उद्योग वाणिज्य संघबाट धेरै पहल पनि गरेका छौँ। पहल फेरि गर्नको लागि अनि एउटा टिम बनाएर हामी सोचिरहेछौँ कि यसको लागि एकचोटि माथि केन्द्रमा काठमाडौँ गएर एकचोटि पर्यटन मन्त्रालयमा गएर बसेर यसको कुरा राखेर अर्थमन्त्री कहाँ पनि जाओस्, प्रधानमन्त्री कहाँ पनि जाओस्, उहाँहरूको ध्यान हो यो सिम्रौनगढको पर्यटक स्थल कसरी राम्रोसँग यो यसको विकास होस् भनेर हामी पहल पनि गर्दैछौँ। हजुर
मंदिर के हमनी के निर्वास सिमरावनगढ़ कंकाली अस्थाना उस सब जगह के हमनी के अच्छा विकास, अच्छा सुंदर देखे के चाहतनी। काहे तो मंदिर मैठबा इतना दिन से अभी नहीं सही बनी। आ कंकाली आस्थाना के हमनी के नेपाल के शान है। हमनी के नेपाल के शान के हमनी के अच्छा से आवरी स्वर्ग बनाई आ ये से आवरी सुंदर विकास करी।
ऐतिहासिक, सांस्कृतिक र पुरातात्विक महत्व बोकेको सिम्रौनगढको संरक्षण र प्रवर्धन पक्ष केही कमजोर भने अवश्य छ। तर समग्र मिथिलाको कला संस्कृतिको परिचय दिन सफल यहाँका पुरातात्विक सम्पदाहरू संरक्षणका लागि मध्य प्रदेश सरकारले रकम नै विनियोजन गरेर काम सुरु गरेको छ। बृहत गाउँ पर्यटनको सम्भावना बोकेको यस क्षेत्रको बहुमूल्य वस्तुलाई साँच्चै मूल्यवान बनाउन प्रदेश सरकार लागि परेको छ। मर्मत सम्हारको अभावमा मन्दिर जीर्ण बन्दै गइरहेका बेला प्रदेश सरकारले गरेको यो पहल र प्रयास साँच्चै प्रशंसनीय छ। मानव अतीतलाई छातीमा समेटेर ऐतिहासिक धरोहरलाई सुरक्षित राख्न सफल सिम्रौनगढ दरबार घुमौं, मधेस चिनाऊं।
The gorgeous temple of Changu Narayan holds greater significance among the 4 Narayan temples located in different cardinal points of Kathmandu Valley. It is situated on a magnificent hilltop about 16 kilometers northeast of Kathmandu in the Bhaktapur district. Changu Narayan is known for its majestic temple complex, full of magnificent artworks in stone, metal, and wood. As an important heritage site of archaeological and cultural importance, with a history of nearly 1700 years, Changu Narayan was designated as UNESCO World Heritage Site in October 1979. By then, it also received the attention of international observers abroad. One of the first substantial epigraphic evidences of Nepalese history was found in the temple premises consecrated by Lichavi King Mandev, dating back to 464 AD. It shows that Changu Narayan was already developed as an important sacred place long before his time. There are various myths and legends regarding the origin of Changu Narayan. As detailed in the Vansavalis, Changu had already been established as a sacred site around 3rd century AD. The Ichangu inscription of Vijaya Kamdev, dated 1199 AD, informs that the temple was built by the king Haridatta Varma, happened to be 9th generations before Mandev. The time of Haridatta Varma is estimated as early as 325 AD. During Lichevi period, Chango Narayan was also known as Dola Shikhar, which refers to a mount or hill in the shape of Doli. Gopal Raj Vansavali and the Chango inscription also mention it as Changu, a Newari word that refers to swing like hill. But the evidences show that this particular place was popular as Chango Narayan from the earliest time, and the same name exists in the society till present. This two-storied temple is of basic Nepalese design with possible emphasis given to masterful ornamentation. The temple may have passed through series of restoration. The present structure was probably constructed in the 17th century. Chango Narayan is regarded as one of the masterpieces of Nepalese temple architecture. The older elements have been incorporated during the restorations.
Home Bahadur Tamang, a gifted Thanka artist from the spiritual heart of Buddha, has turned his craft into a global bridge between tradition and business.
थाङ्का चाहिँ मैले 1970 सिक्न सुरुवात गरेको। मेरो टिचर चाहिँ म भन्दा अघिल्लो मेरो दाइ हो, साइला दाइ। मेरो चाहिँ बाउपादेखि नै कलाकार हुनुहुन्थ्यो। पाटन, भक्तपुर, छामेल, दरबार स्क्वायरमा यसै पसल बेच्ने काम हुन्थ्यो। अनि त्यो बेच्दा मैले यो थाङ्का चाहिँ विदेशीले किन्दो रहेछ, आफैले विदेशसँग बेच्नुपर्छ भन्ने अलिकति मनमा मलाई अलिकति सोच आयो। त्यसपछि मैले 2050 सालमा यहाँ सुरु गरेँ, आजभन्दा 32 वर्ष अगाडि।
What began as a young artist's journey through the streets of Kathmandu has blossomed into a thriving enterprise where sacred art meets business and tourism. With every brushstroke, home brings Nepal's rich spiritual heritage to the world, transforming Thanka painting into a symbol of cultural fusion.
त्यो बेला चाहिँ पसल कोही पनि यहाँ थिएन, किनभने त्यो मार्केटले चाहिँ कहाँ मार्केट हुन्छ भन्ने खोज्दो रहेछ। त्यो खोज्ने क्रममा म यहाँ आइपुग्यो। विदेशीहरू पनि यहाँ त्यति अहिले जस्तो बस्दैन, 5 मिनट 10 मिनटमा घुमेर जानुहुन्थ्यो। त्यतिखेर खाने रेस्टुरेन्ट पनि एकजना मात्रै थियो, एउटा मात्रै थियो। अहिले चाहिँ होस् त्यो बेला र अहिलेमा धेरै आकाश जमिनको फरक भएको छ।
His story is one of passion, innovation, and a deep commitment to preserving tradition while embracing the future.
विशेष गरी यो बौद्ध स्तूपसँग रिलेटेड छ। यो बुद्धको शिक्षासँग रिलेटेड यो थाङ्का चाहिँ संसारको मानिसहरू यो स्तूपलाई घुम्ने क्रममा यो प्रार्थना गर्ने मेन आउने ठाउँ चाहिँ यो रहेछ। त्यसो भएको हुनाले यो चाहिँ विशेष गरी ओल्ड हेरिटेज साइटमा चाहिँ त्यो पनि के हो बुद्धिस्टको भएको हुनाले चाहिँ नेपालभरि कुनै थाङ्का बिक्ने ठाउँ चाहिँ अति महत्त्वपूर्ण चाहिँ यो नै हो वास्तवमा, किनभने रिलेटेड छ यो बुद्धसँग।
From the hills of Ramechhap to the heart of Buddha, Home Bahadur Damang has a glorious story to tell. A story of will, determination, struggle, and success.
म आफै पनि रामछाप दुर्गम जिल्लामा जन्मेको चाहिँ रोजगार छैन, त्यहाँ स्कुल छैन, कलेज छैन, हस्पिटल छैन, रोजगार छैन। त्यसपछि म पनि रोजगारकै क्रममा यहाँ आएर मैले सुरुवात गर्यो। अहिले चाहिँ म लगभग 49 वर्ष भयो यही पेसा गरेर दाल भात खाएको। अब नयाँ पुस्तालाई पनि मैले हस्तान्तरण गर्नुपर्छ है भन्ने मेरो एउटा उद्देश्यले चाहिँ अहिले मैले नयाँ पुस्तालाई चाहिँ गाउँबाट आउनुहुन्छ, स्कुल सकेर अनि बिहान चाहिँ कलेज जानुहुन्छ, दिउँसो काम छैन। त्यस कारणले मैले 3 महिना फ्री ट्रेनिङ दिने गरेको छ। उहाँको स्किल अनुसार टेस्ट गरेर हामीले यहीँ तलब दिएर जस्तो बिहान कलेज पनि भ्यायो उसको कति हो त्यसो त्यहाँबाट एक्स्ट्रा टाइम चाहिँ 5 घण्टा 6 घण्टा 7 घण्टा पनि यहाँ जीवन चलाउने चाहिँ काम भइरहेछ अहिले।
For 49 years, he painted, taught, and empowered young artisans. Today, his school preserves tradition and creates futures.
हामीले यहाँ सुरुमा इन्टरभ्यू लिन्छु, त्यसपछि 1 हप्ता चाहिँ नि सानो र क्यानभासमा हात ट्रेनिङ दिन्छु, त्यसको शरीरको बडीहरू अलिकति ट्रेनिङ दिन्छु, अनि 1 हप्तापछि ओके भनेर ओके या यस भने कोही मानिस नसक्ने चाहिँ नि आधा घन्टामा 1 घन्टामा उठेर गइहाल्छ। म सक्दैन, ढाड दुख्यो, किन उसको मन धेरै भएर गयो, त्यो सक्दैन, ऊ आउँदैन, एक दिन पनि आउँदैन। मात्रै आँखा चाहिँ हुनु पर्यो। हामीले अपाङ्गलाई पनि सिकाएको छ, जस्तो बाहिर कान नसुन्ने पनि सिकाएको छ, आँखा चाहिँ हुनु पर्यो, त्यस्तै हो।
As interest in Buddhism grows worldwide, so does the appreciation for our sacred art. Foreigners now come not just to admire but to learn, studying our architecture techniques and meditative Thanka traditions, giving new life to what was once known only within our borders.
बुद्धिज्म नेपाल हो। नेपालमा जति छन् विश्व सम्पदामा सूचीमा भएको मठ मन्दिर गुम्बा छ, यसैबाट उहाँले पनि सिकेको वास्तवमा। यो जुन बौद्ध स्तूपबाट भनौँ लुम्बिनी त्यो जस्तो त उहाँहरूले बनाउन सक्दैन, तर यसको चाहिँ एकदम महत्त्वपूर्ण के छ भगवान या चाहिँ दोस्रो तेस्रो बुद्धको रिलेटिभ यहाँ छ। जति चाहिँ अहिले संसारमा यो बुद्धिज्म फैलिँदै जान्छ, यो महायान बुद्धिज्म त्यत्तिकै ढङ्गको भ्यालु चाहिँ बढ्दैछ अहिले। जस्तो मेरै कुरा मैले 40-45 वर्ष यति ठाउँको महत्त्व थिएन किनभने वर्ल्ड वाइडमा बुद्धिज्म थिएन विदेशीहरूले जानेकै थिएन उनीहरूले त्यो सुरु आउँदाखेरि सानो एउटा नेपाल आउँदाखेरि सुपर किन नलैजाऊ भन्ने मात्रै लाग्थ्यो अहिले चाहिँ उहाँहरू चाहिँ जस्तो अमेरिका युरोप तपाईको यो सिङ्गापुर ताइवान मलेसिया विभिन्न देशमा चाहिँ अहिले बुद्धिस्ट प्र्याक्टिसनर धेरै उहाँहरू चाहिँ गर्नुहुन्छ त्यसको लागि चाहिँ एकदमै महत्त्वपूर्ण छ त्यसकारणले भविष्यमा यो थाङ्गा चाहिँ छ यसको मार्केट छ
As an artist, entrepreneur and a master, he feels fulfilled, creating beauty, guiding others and living with purpose.
मैले संसार जीवन जगतलाई थाहा पायो अहिले हामी सांसारिक जीवन छ सांसारिक जीवनमा कसरी जिउने र अर्कोलाई पनि कसरी जिउन दिने कला थाहा पायो त्यसपछि अब जुन देशमा जन्मे पनि जुन कुलमा जन्मे पनि 100% निश्चित के हो भने मृत्यु छ त्यो त निश्चित हो नि एउटै निश्चित छैन कहिले पनि निश्चित छैन तर त्यो मर्नेमा म कसरी मर्ने भन्ने कला पनि थाहा पाएँ मलाई त धेरै परिवर्तन भएको छ मैले परिवर्तन भयो भने के हुन्छ मैले ठुलो पचेरो चढ्यो ठुलो गाडी त्यस्तो होइन तर मलाई खुसी छ सादा दाल भात खान पाएछ मैले परिवार पाल्नु पाएछ यही थाङ्गाले म जापान घुम्यो युरोप गयो चाइना घुम्यो बुद्धिस्ट कन्ट्री सबै घुमेको छ सबै ठाउँमा मैले घुम्नलाई मलाई पैसाको आपत पनि परेन थाङ्गा सँगसँगै लान्दै ब्रिफिङ गर्दै बेच्दै दर्शन बेचेको हो त्यसकारण मलाई त एकदम खुसी छु म त पनि
Frequent leadership changes in Nepal's provincial governments raise questions over stability. Uncertainty also threatens budget implementation. NOC to sell cooking gas cylinders from 7 locations in Kathmandu Valley tomorrow. Move intended to provide relief to consumers. Nepal drafts bill to protect animals and regulate animal services. Bill to criminalize cruelty and tighten animal transport rules. More than 45 killed after 7.7 magnitude earthquake rattles Indonesia. Search and rescue underway. South Korea proposes talks to officially end war with the North. President Lee offers solution to avoid border flare-ups. And Nepal eyes double-digit medal haul at upcoming 20th Asian Games. 136 athletes undergoing intensive close training. Hello there, I am Aprila Gising Lama and this is NTV World News Hour coming to you live from Kathmandu at 2200 hours. Now the news in detail. Frequent changes in leadership, no confidence motions, factional signatures and interference from the central level have raised questions over the stability and effectiveness of Nepal's provincial governments. Concerns have also emerged that political uncertainty could affect the implementation of the current fiscal year's budget. The CPN-UML and CPN-Maoist Center on July 25th reached a 3-point agreement on provincial leadership. However, disputes over power sharing and ministry allocation persist. The parties were forced to issue a 5-point directive again on Tuesday to ensure implementation of the agreement. However, the parties are still negotiating the distribution of provincial leadership and ministries. The developments, meanwhile, have intensified calls for a political culture focused on strengthening Nepal's provincial governments and ensuring greater stability. Now, as consumers face the acute shortage, the Nepal Oil Corporation is selling cooking gas cylinders from 7 locations across the Kathmandu Valley tomorrow in coordination with concerned authorities. The cooking cylinders were sold from at 5 locations across Kathmandu Valley today. Consumers will be required to bring either their citizenship certificate or national identity card to purchase a gas cylinder. Now, the gas will be sold from the NOC office premises in Teku, the Animal Services branch in Chapali, Radhaswamy in Kirtipur, Tarkeshwar Municipality premises, the Judo Hall premises in Naya Bajar, Chandragiri Municipality Office and the National Tuberculosis Center in Timi from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. The move is intended to provide immediate relief to households struggling to obtain cooking gas through regular distribution channels. In other news, Nepal has drafted a new bill aimed at protecting animals, regulating animal-related services, and improving the standards for animal products. The proposed Animal Services and Animal Welfare Bill 2083 would make cruel or inhumane treatment, abandonment, and the transport of sick or injured animals punishable offences. The bill would require adequate food, water, and care during animal transport, while local governments would be required to operate shelters for injured, sick, and community animals. It would also regulate animal transport, quarantine, breeding, artificial insemination, and the production and sale of animal products. We will bring you a detailed report on the proposed animal welfare law in our issue of the day segment later in the bulletin. At least 47 people have been killed after a 7.7 magnitude earthquake struck Indonesia earlier on Saturday, the nation's disaster mitigation agency has said. The official death toll has been rising as a search and rescue operation gets underway. The disaster mitigation agency said several people had been injured to varying degrees. Buildings in the region have been damaged by the quake and the dozens of aftershocks that followed. Now, South Korea's president has proposed talks with its northern neighbor on officially ending the war between the two that is technically still active. Lee Jae-myung suggested a multi-layered security system to avoid flare-ups along the country's de facto border known as the Demilitarized Zone, DMZ, and offered to discuss practical ways of halting Pyongyang's nuclear ambitions. North Korea has continually tested ballistic missiles capable of carrying nuclear warheads, which has been perceived in Seoul and nearly Japan as an attempt to intimidate and project power. The conflict between the two occupants of the Korean peninsula has been effectively frozen since an armistice was signed in 1953. Nepal has entered the final phase of preparations for the 20th Asian Games in Japan's Aichi, Nagoya, with 136 athletes undergoing intensive close training. Nepal will compete in 22 sports, including women's volleyball, men's cricket, and kabaddi in the sports jamboree scheduled to be held from September 19 to October 4. Athletes in several disciplines are also receiving specialized training in China, South Korea, India, and Thailand. Nepal won 1 silver and 1 bronze medal at the 2022 Hangzhou Asian Games. This time, the National Sports Council has set an ambitious target of double-digit medals, including gold. A total of 217 athletes, coaches and officials are expected to travel to Japan, with preparations continuing despite concerns over limited funding, sports sciences and training facilities. Moving on, what if the way we treat animals is about to change from the road to the shelter? Nepal is proposing tougher rules, and this time cruelty could come with a serious price. More on this after a short break. You're watching NTV World News Hour. Time for the issue of the day. Nepal is set to introduce a new legal framework aimed at protecting animals and regulating animal-related services. The government has drafted a new bill to prevent cruelty, improve the way animals are transported and cared for, and regulate the quality of animal products. Siksha Bhattrai, along with Kamala Ariel, brings more.
These distressing scenes show animals packed into trucks, some injured, and transported without adequate food or water. For animals on the move, a journey that may take hours can mean pain, fear, and exhaustion. But such treatment could soon become a thing of the past. Nepal's government has drafted a new law that would change how animals are treated, from transport and care to slaughter and the sale of animal products. The proposed Animal Services and Animal Welfare Bill 2083 would make cruel or inhuman treatment of animals a criminal offense. Under the draft, animals could not be transported without adequate food, water, and care. Moving sick or injured animals, abandoning them, or subjecting them to unnecessary suffering would also be punishable.
कुन उमेरको पशु चाहिँ लाई कति स्पेसमा राखेर ढुवानी गर्ने र ढुवानी गर्नुभन्दा अगाडि चाहिँ स्वास्थ्य परीक्षण गर्नुपर्ने र बिरामी पशुहरू चाहिँ ढुवानी नगर्ने यी लगायतका विषयहरू चाहिँ हामी समेट्छौं र अहिलेकै मौजूदा पशु ढुवानी मापदण्ड 2064 मा पनि त्यो विषय छ र त्यो विषयलाई अलिकति हामीले व्यावहारिक बनाउनु पर्ने छ नेपालको भूधरातलमा.
The bill would also require local governments to operate shelters, goshalas or protection centers for injured, sick and community animals. Animal transport and the movement of animal products would require permits and quarantine checks. Authorities could also suspend transport when there is a risk of infectious disease. The proposed law would also regulate the production and sale of animal products, with restrictions on contaminated, substandard, or improperly labeled products. It would also bring animal breeding, breed registration and improvement, artificial insemination, and the conservation of genetic resources under legal regulation.
विशेष गरेर मासु, दूध, अण्डा लगायतका विषयहरू जुन उत्पादन हुन्छ त्यो उपभोक्तासम्म पुग्नको लागि त्यसलाई कसरी गुणस्तर कायम गर्ने र फार्मबाटै कसरी गुणस्तरीय वस्तु उत्पादन गर्ने भन्ने यावत विषयहरू चाहिँ राखेका छौं र यो सँगसँगै पशु कल्याणको विषयलाई पनि यो ऐनमा राखेर त्यो पशुका पनि मिनिमम अधिकारहरूलाई संरक्षित गर्ने गरेर यो ऐनमा व्यवस्था गरिएको छ.
Under the proposed bill, anyone who denies animal food or water or subjects them to cruel or inhuman treatment could face up to 2 years in prison, a fine of up to 500,000 Nepali rupees, which is about $3,200 or both. It puts the treatment of animals, how they are transported, cared for, and protected from unnecessary suffering at the center of a proposed national law. If enacted, the bill would bring animal welfare, animal services, and the regulation of animal products under a single legal framework.
That was Issue of the Day. Moving on, what happens when a community's language, land and identity are all at risk? The Kusunda are fighting to keep their heritage alive, and we'll take you into their story after a short break. You're watching NTV World News Hour with April Agising Lama. Welcome back. The Kusunda are among Nepal's most endangered indigenous communities, traditionally living as hunter-gatherers. With only 253 people remaining, the community faces growing challenges in preserving its language, identity and cultural heritage. The National Human Rights Commission has called on the government to take urgent measures to protect the Kusunda community and safeguard its unique traditions. Diksha Wasti with our local correspondent from Dang, Dashrath Kimiri, brings the report.
Nepal is home to rich ethnic diversity, with the government officially recognizing 14 indigenous communities as highly marginalized or endangered, including the Kusunda. Nepal's policy framework for marginalized and endangered communities focuses on social inclusion, proportional representation, and cultural preservation. However, even in the 21st century, the Kusunda community, having 235 population, continues to struggle for equal representation and recognition at the state level. The community is primarily scattered across Dang, Piutan, Surkhet, Tanahu, Gorkha, Arghakhanchi, Kapilvastu, and Rolpa. Along with an identity crisis, the small community faces severe poverty, cultural loss, and geographic isolation. Living in scattered settlements across several districts, the community is struggling to protect its land rights, language, culture, and identity. Historically, the Kusunda lived a nomadic life in forest, relying mainly on hunting and gathering. Even today, many Kusunda families do not have land legally registered in their names. Some live on public or forest land, leaving them vulnerable to displacement and insecure housing. To protect the dignity and rights of the community, Nepal's National Human Rights Commission has urged the government to ensure land rights and establish safe, permanent and integrated settlements. It has also called for targeted programs to education, healthcare, employment and cultural preservation.
एकदम आर्थिक अवस्था दयनीय छ रोजगार छैन व्यापार छैन बिजनेस छैन अनि सामाजिक सुरक्षा दिन्छ सरकारले त्यसैले जीवकोपार्जन गरिराछ अब भत्ता आउँछ है अब दिन्छौं भनेर चाहिँ रासनहरु उधार ल्याउने खाने गरेको अवस्था छ हाम्रो अहिले
The Kusunda language is considered a linguistic isolate, meaning it has no known connection to any established language family. Language transmission classes are now being conducted to pass the language on to younger generations. However, social security support alone cannot ensure the survival of the community.
यो भाषा फेरि जोगाउन पनि एकदम कठिन छ उच्चारणका हिसाबले ध्वनिका हिसाबले धेरै गाह्रो भए हुनाले त्यो भाषा वक्ताहरूलाई जोगाउन सक्यौं भने हामीले भोलिका दिनमा कम्तिमा पनि एउटा राष्ट्रको सम्पत्ति एउटा जीवित सम्पदा हो यो पनि भाषा पनि यसलाई जोगाउन सक्छ
The Kusunda have also faced discrimination, prompting some members to change their ethnic identity on official documents. Efforts to restore their Kusunda identity have, in some cases, created legal and administrative challenges. The Human Rights Commission has recommended resolving these identity-related issues, improving official documentation, creating employment opportunities, and allocating dedicated government resources for the community.
Now, in this context, we asked members of the Kusunda community about their expectations from the government in protecting their rights, preserving their culture, and safeguarding their identity. Let's hear what they had to say.
सबै कुसुन्डाहरू एकै ठाउँमा भइदियो भने एकदमै राम्रो हुन्थ्यो कोही प्युठान हुनुहुन्छ कोही सुर्खेत हुनुहुन्छ कोही नाका भन्ने ठाउँमा हुनुहुन्छ अनि सबै एकै ठाउँमा बस्न पाए भने हाम्रो भाषा संस्कार सबै रहने थियो अब
बारमा चाहिँ अब कति धेरै पढेर बस्नु भएको त्यहाँले चाहिँ जबहरू पाइराख्नु भएको छैन म पनि अब नर्सिङ पढेको एनएम पढेको तर लोकसेवातिर चाहिँ कति गरे पनि हुँदै हुन्न त्यहाँ पनि त्यही भएर राज्यले चाहिँ हाम्रो छुट्टै कोटा बनाएर लोकप्रमुख जातिहरूको कोटा बनाइदिएर चाहिँ त्यसमा गराइदियो हुन्थ्यो भनेर
सर्वप्रथम त सबैभन्दा ठुलो चाहिँ एक बस्ती भएपछि सबैजना कुसुन्डा एउटै ठाउँमा हुन्थ्यो अनि सबैलाई भाषा बोल्न अनि भाषा सांस्कृतिक हाम्रो सबै संरक्षण हुन सजिलो हुन्थ्यो
कुसुन्डाभरिलाई यहाँखेरि बस्ती गरिदिएर सबै एकै ठाउँमा बस्न पाएपछि अब जस्तै भाषाहरू अनि आफ्नो कुसुन्डाहरूको केही सबै परिपक्व हुन्थ्यो
That was the cover story of the day. Now we move ahead with other updates. Nepal's Finance Minister Dr. Sonim Wagle has called on Nepalis living abroad to confidently explore investment opportunities in Nepal. Delivering a video message to the 11th Asia-Pacific Conference of the Non-Resident Nepali Association, NRNA, which kicked off in Guangzhou in China today, the minister said the government is working to create a more investment-friendly environment by introducing 27 new laws through the budget.
We welcome diasporic investment. प्रवासी साथीहरु अब ढुक्का साफ नेपालमा आएर लगानी गर्नुस्, पर्यटनमा लगानी गर्नुस्, आईटीमा लगानी गर्नुस्, स्वच्छ ऊर्जामा लगानी गर्नुस्, हाई भ्यालु एग्रिकल्चरमा लगानी गर्नुस्, ग्रीन री-इन्डस्ट्रियलाइजेसनका अवसरहरुमा ती अवसरहरु पनि छोप्नुस् र हामीले अलिअलि इम्पोर्ट डिस्प्लेसमेन्टको लागि पनि स्वदेशी उत्पादनमा पनि विशेष पहलहरु सुरु गरेका छौं त्यसमा पनि सहभागी हुनुस्.
The Nepal government has come up with a plan to provide concessional loans up to 5 million Nepali rupees to the families of the martyrs and the injured of the Zenzi movement to run self-employment businesses. The Ministry of Finance issued the Procedures on Interest Subsidy for Concessional Loans, Second Amendment 2083 on Friday to make the arrangement. The procedures stated that concessional loans can be made available for martyr families and the injured for businesses related to agriculture and livestock, cottage and small industries, service businesses, IT-based businesses, tourism enterprises, productive industries, start-up ventures and other employment-oriented businesses as designated by the government from time to time. Besides, the government has widened the scope of concessional loans, aiming at economically empowering families and the injured affected by the Zenzi movement through self-employment and entrepreneurship. Nepal's Health Insurance Board has launched a system allowing people to enroll in the health insurance program online. Through the new service, people can complete new enrollments, renew their insurance policies, and update their personal information or KYC details online. Board spokesperson Dr. Pawan Kumar Shah said that while people previously had to enroll through registration assistance, the new service allows them to access the required information and services online. According to Shah, the system now allows individuals to fill out the health insurance enrollment form themselves online. The online enrollment and renewal process has been introduced under the procedure on health insurance enrollment and policy renewal through electronic means. It is said payments for enrollment and renewal can be made through eSewa, Kulti and Connect IPS. Nepal's Information and Communications Minister Dr. Bikram Timilsina has conducted an on-site inspection of landslide-affected and high-risk settlements in various parts of Nuwako district and listened to the concerns of local residents. Landslides triggered by monsoon-related disasters have disrupted daily life in several parts of the district, affecting roads and settlements and putting some communities at risk. Minister Timilsina led a team including geologists from the National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Authority to assess the affected areas. According to Nuwako Chief District Officer Sambu Prasad Regmi, settlements including Paharethok and Fadpur are at risk due to landslides in the Ramche and Ratamate areas. Authorities have arranged temporary accommodation for families at immediate risk and are carrying out further assessments to determine whether they should be relocated to safer areas on a long-term basis. Various reports and proposals have been presented at the national gathering of the non-establishment faction of the Nepali Congress. During the closed session of the gathering, being held at Kathmandu, several proposals including amendments to the party statute were presented for discussion. Leader Bimalendra Nidhi presented a political report at the meeting. His report states that, in the name of generational transition, those who have contributed to every stage of the movement have been humiliated in violation of established procedures. Similarly, leader Ramesh Lekhak presented a concept paper on amendments to the party statute. It proposes provisions under which, in general, one person would be allowed to hold only one position at a time. At the meeting, Dr. Prakash Sharan Mahat presented a paper outlining the direction of the Nepali Congress's economic and social policies, while NP Sod presented a contemporary political proposal. Leader Mohan Basnet said the reports presented during the closed session would be discussed and adopted with necessary decisions on Sunday. Meanwhile, Nepali Congress's Vice President Bishwa Prakash Sharma has said there is no need for confusion over the legitimacy of the party president and Central Working Committee. Speaking at an event in Lalitpur today, Sharma said there should be no uncertainty regarding the legitimacy of the party president and Central Working Committee, as the Election Commission and the court have recognized the Special General Convention as having been conducted according to due procedure.
अदालतले नेपाली कांग्रेसको केन्द्रीय समिति बदर गरेको छैन, सभापति गगन थापा होइन भनेर उल्ट्याएको अवस्था बिल्कुलै होइन। त्यसैले नेपाली कांग्रेसको सभापति को हो भनिरहँदै गर्दाखेरि उहाँहरू अल्मलिनु पर्ने, केन्द्रीय समिति को भन्दा अल्मलिनु पर्ने अवस्था छैन। त्यसैले आवेगमा आएर होइन अब यता नेम प्लेट राख्ने, उता राख्ने, उहाँ पनि नै सभापति हो, उहाँ पनि नै कार्य समिति नै हो, उहाँ नै पदाधिकारी हो भन्ने कुरा भनेको चाहिँ खेलको नियम विधि भन्दा त्यो बाहिरको कुरा हुन्छ। हामी आग्रह गर्छौं कि विधिभित्र जसरी खेल चल्छ त्यसरी नै विधिभित्र राजनीति चल्नुपर्छ।
Moving on, Mustang District Police has taken control of 8 cargo containers on suspicion of illegally transporting goods from the Nepal-China Kerala border point through Lomantang. The Mustang District Police Office said the containers were seized at different locations along the Jomsom-Kerala road, including Jomsom, following confidential information about the suspicious movement of goods from the Kerala border. Police Inspector Santosh Basyal said police teams deployed from the district headquarters seized the 8 containers at separate locations. According to police, the containers had been loaded with goods at Kerala and were heading toward the customs office. During checks of their documents and questioning, police found that the containers had been sealed and transported directly without being inspected at the customs yard. The containers were also found operating secretly at night in violation of restrictions imposed on the Kerala road during the monsoon season as part of disaster risk reduction measures. Police added the containers were taken under control for further investigation. In other news, Waling municipality in Siangza of Western Nepal has made pink uniforms mandatory for students in all community schools, extending the city's pink city identity to the classroom. The new uniform policy applies students from grade 1 to 10 across 59 community schools. Rojina Rai, along with local correspondent from Siangza, Sushil Subedi, brings the report.
Walling municipality in Sangja district is the only municipality in Nepal to have an official single color policy, requiring buildings in the central market area to be painted pink. Recently, the municipality has been moving ahead with its smart city vision while simultaneously reinforcing its identity as the pink city. Around 80% of houses in Walling are already painted pink. Now the municipality has extended the campaign to community schools. Deputy Mayor Kavita Tiwari Gaire says all 3,092 students from grades 1 to 10 in the municipality's 59 community schools are required to wear the prescribed pink uniform.
पोशाक वितरण गर्दा 1-10 का विद्यार्थीहरूलाई लक्षित गरेर पोशाक वितरण गरेको छ। अब अहिलेसम्म 3092 जना विद्यार्थीहरूले चाहिँ त्यो पोशाक चाहिँ प्राप्त गरे।
The municipality has provided 1,000 rupees per student to the respective schools to support the purchase of the uniforms. Students have already started wearing the prescribed dress. Students and teachers say they are proud to be a part of this initiative.
हाम्रो नगरपालिका वालिङ नगरपालिका भनेको पिङ्क सिटी हो। त्यहीबाट यस्तो गर्दा हामीले यो नगरपालिकाको धेरै नै क्लोज भएको जस्तो लाग्छ अनि हामी यो नगरपालिकाको बासिन्दा भएर हामीले यो नगरपालिकाले पिङ्क सिटी भनेकोमा रेस्पेक्ट गरेको जस्तो भइरहेको छ।
The campaign has also given a boost to local tailoring businesses, creating additional employment opportunities.
मैले अहिलेसम्म 700 जना विद्यार्थीको काम गरिरहेको छु 3-4 वटा स्कुललाई कोअर्डिनेट गरेर। यसले हामीले रोजगारी पनि सिर्जना गरिरहेको छ सर।
With this move, Walling's pink campaign is no longer limited to buildings and streets. It is now extending into schools, turning the color into a symbol of identity, unity, harmony, and prosperity. The municipality hopes the campaign will further strengthen its message, Pink Walling, United Walling.
India is marking its 80th Independence Day today, with Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressing the nation from the Red Fort in New Delhi. Modi addressed the special ceremony held at the historic Red Fort this morning, calling on citizens to move forward with renewed enthusiasm, goals and resolve. He said Independence Day serves as an inspiration for India to pursue new national objectives and commitments. India gained independence from British rule on August 15, 1947. The day is commemorated annually with celebrations across the country as well as at Indian diplomatic missions around the world. Meanwhile, Nepal's Prime Minister Balendra Shah has extended best wishes to Prime Minister Narendra Modi and to the people and government of India on the occasion of 80th Independence Day. In a post on his official X account earlier this morning, the Prime Minister has also wished that the deep historical ties, close people-to-people relations and cooperation between Nepal and India may continue to strengthen in the years ahead. Now, before we check more updates, let's have a quick recap of the headlines. Frequent leadership changes in Nepal's provincial governments raise questions over stability. Uncertainty also threatens budget implementation. NOC to sell cooking gas cylinders from 7 locations in Kathmandu Valley tomorrow. Move intended to provide relief to consumers. Nepal government drafts bill to protect animals and regulate animal services. Bill to criminalize cruelty and tighten animal transport rules. More than 45 killed after 7.7 magnitude earthquake rattles Indonesia. Search and rescue underway. South Korea proposes talks to officially end war with the North. President Lee offers solution to avoid border flare-ups. And Nepal eyes double-digit medal haul at upcoming 20th Asian Games. 136 athletes undergoing intensive close training. 11 people have been killed in Israeli strikes in southern Lebanon, authorities say, in one of the deadliest days of attacks since an agreement aimed at reducing hostilities was announced in June. Lebanon's prime minister said 7 people were killed in a strike on a house on the outskirts of Ansar in the Nabateeh district, which state media reported included 3 children and 2 women. Later on Saturday, another round of strikes hit the town of Deir al-Zarani, killing 4 and wounding 5 others, the Lebanese Ministry of Health said. Israel's military said it had struck Hezbollah terror infrastructure in response to what it described as an earlier action against its soldiers. Lebanon's Prime Minister Nawaf Salam condemned the attacks, saying the 7 civilians killed were not military infrastructure. Now, U.S. President Donald Trump said he would soon declare the Strait of Hormuz part of U.S. territory, claiming that Iran was being heavily defeated. Speaking at a political rally at a police academy in New York State, Trump reportedly said he planned to declare the strategic waterway U.S. territory, making the remarks with a chuckle.
And after we finish defeating Iran, which is being very badly defeated, pretty soon I'll be declaring the Hormuz Strait a territory of the United States. Essentially, that's what it is. We have the blockade. No ships get through unless we want them to.
In other news, Japan marked 81 years since its surrender in World War II on August 15, with more than 4,000 people attending a national memorial ceremony in Tokyo. Emperor Naruhito and Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi paid tribute to approximately 3.1 million people who died in the war and called for peace and remembrance. The ceremony included a moment of silence while the emperor urged future generations to preserve memories of the hardships of war and the importance of lasting peace. Meanwhile, thousands also visited Tokyo's Yasukuni Shrine, which honors about 2.5 million war dead, including convicted wartime criminals. The visits have drawn controversy because the shrine also commemorates figures convicted of war crimes linked to Japan's wartime aggression in Asia. Now, Afghans waving flags gathered at Massoud Square in Kabul next to the former U.S. Embassy as they marked the 5th anniversary of the Taliban's return to power. The Taliban government celebrated 5 years of rule on August 15, highlighting what it described as national freedom, security and stability. Taliban authorities held commemorative events across the country to mark the anniversary. The group said Afghanistan has achieved greater security since its return to power in 2021. Critics, however, continue to condemn restrictions on women and girls and tighter controls over daily life. France's top court has struck down a ban on social media for under-15s, saying it infringed upon freedom of expression. The legislation was backed by French lawmakers in July, making it the first European country to block young people from the platforms after concerns over the harmful effects on children's mental health. Friday's ruling by the Constitutional Council overrides the ban, which Emmanuel Macron had pledged would be introduced in stages from September. Responding to the news, the French president immediately asked Prime Minister Sébastien Lecornu to prepare a new draft that would take into account at all the Council's points. Now, the ruling also raised concerns over the law's requirement to provide proof of age to access online services and said it failed to establish the legal safeguards necessary. Business news lined up next. For now, a short breather.
US President Donald Trump says he will not apologize for higher gasoline prices, saying Americans should accept the increase as the cost of preventing Iran from obtaining a nuclear weapon. Trump defended the higher fuel cost as part of the price of confronting Iran and maintaining pressure on Tehran. The comments come amid heightened tensions in the Middle East and concerns over potential disruptions to global energy supplies. Meanwhile, higher oil prices are likely to further increase fuel costs for consumers and add pressure to the wider economy. A British low-cost airline has cancelled around 100 flights from French airports on Saturday and Sunday as cabin crews strike over repeated changes to their work schedules. The disruption is expected to affect thousands of passengers traveling to and from France over the weekend. Cabin crew members say frequent schedule changes have created uncertainty and worsened working conditions. The strike adds to a growing wave of labor disputes affecting the European aviation sector during the busy summer travel period. Humanoid robots are rapidly moving to China's logistics centers and factory floors as the country accelerates intelligent manufacturing. At a China Post facility in Guangzhou, robots can identify, grab, and sort up to 1,200 parcels per hour, with targets of 1,400 by the fourth quarter and 1,600 early next year. In Beijing's E-Town, humanoid robots are also performing precision tasks at an automobile factory, including handling parts, placing components, and folding boxes. The developments underline China's push to use humanoid robots for repetitive logistics work and increasingly complex manufacturing tasks. A 3-day national handicraft exhibition and trade fair is underway in Colombo of Sri Lanka, showcasing traditional crafts and celebrating the country's local artisans. The event features 45 stalls across 31 craft categories displaying indigenous artwork, traditional techniques, and sustainable handmade products from across Sri Lanka. Organizers say the exhibition aims to preserve the country's cultural heritage while promoting local crafts, supporting artisans, and creating opportunities to connect Sri Lankan handicraft producers with international markets. The event also seeks to boost cultural tourism and create new opportunities for artisans to reach wider audiences.
Time for sports update. Ferran Torres, who scored the winning goal for Spain at the World Cup, has joined European champions Paris Saint-Germain from Barcelona. The 26-year-old has signed a deal with the French champions until 2031 for a reported fee of about 50 million euros. He scored the extra-time winner against Argentina to help Spain claim their second men's World Cup last month, while his stock had already risen considerably after a strong season with Barcelona. The forward scored 21 goals in 49 appearances in all competitions, providing 3 assists and helped Barcelona win the La Liga title. PSG, managed by former Barcelona coach and player Luis Enrique, have won the Champions League in the past 2 seasons. Now, the consortium containing Amazon founder Jeff Bezos and Facebook co-founder Eduardo Saverin is buying a minority stake in Premier League club Liverpool, the English soccer giant has said. Club owner Fenway Sports Group FSG said in a statement it entered into a definitive agreement for the scale to 1892 Holdings. The investor group is led by Amit Bhatia, who is married to a daughter of Indian steel magnate Lakshmi Mittal and has taken a stake of more than 30% in the 20-time English champion, according to Sky News. The deal reportedly values Liverpool at around $6 billion. Boston-based FSG paid $400 million to take over Liverpool in 2010 and also owns the Boston Red Sox. It marks the first foray into soccer by Bezos, who, according to Forbes, is the 4th richest person in the world with a net worth of around $280 billion. Now to the weather updates, first from Nepal and then across the world. This brings us to the end of this edition, but before we say goodbye, here's a quick reminder of the top stories. Frequent leadership changes in Nepal's provincial governments raise questions over stability. Uncertainty also threatens budget implementation. NOC to sell cooking gas cylinders from 7 locations in Kathmandu Valley tomorrow. Move intended to provide relief to consumers. Nepal government drafts bill to protect animals and regulate animal services. Bill to criminalize cruelty and tightens animal transport rules. More than 45 killed after 7.7 magnitude earthquake rattles Indonesia. Search and rescue underway. South Korea proposes talks to officially end war with the North. President Lee offers solution to avoid border flare-ups. And Nepal eyes double-digit medal haul at upcoming 28th Asian Games. 136 athletes undergoing intensive close training. That is all for the moment. Do join us through our social media and visit us at www.nepaltelevision.com for more information and news. I am Iprilagi Singh Lama. Thank you for watching. Good night.